and welcome back to the Event Rider Masters here at the historic Chatsworth House. It is leg one in the series, 7 legs this year. We expand into Europe for the very first time. We are very kindly hosted here by the Dodson and Harold Chatsworth International Horse Trials. I'm joined in studio by Derm Byrne from Echo Ratings. We are getting very, very excited because we have so much in store for you throughout the afternoon. 2 phases have been concluded already. It was dressage day yesterday and it was France who dominated at the top of the leaderboard. This morning was all about the coloured poles and the show jumping, and it was all change on the leaderboard as well. Gemma Tattersall for Great Britain is our leader going into this afternoon's cross country. But Chatsworth, well, it is steeped in history here, and Alice was lucky enough to have a closer look inside the house earlier on this week.
One of the extraordinary things about the Event Rider Masters is the iconic venues that it takes us to, and there are none more so than Chatsworth House, which is of course the scene for our first leg of 2017 series. And I've taken the opportunity to come away from the sport and have a little bit of a poke around of this extraordinary home to the 12th Duke of Devonshire. The Dukes of Devonshire have been here since the 16th century, and it seems really weird. That seems like a long time, and yet we're only on the 12th Duke. And when you come into this house, it is just steeped in history when you think that people like Queen Victoria and even Charles Dickens have been guests here before the Event Rider Masters. We've taken you here to one of the real pearls of this house, and this is the painted hall. It is absolutely beautiful. It goes back to 1692. And Louis Laguerre painted this extraordinary apotheosis of Julius Caesar. The detail is quite extraordinary. But then, as an extra jewel, sitting in the middle of it, is the biggest exhibition that Chatsworth have ever put together, and it's 5 centuries of fashion, and there's just the most beautiful things all nestled in around it. I could stay here all day. There's so much to look at, but of course we've got to get back to the sport. But wow, what a privilege.
Well, we really are lucky to be here at such an incredible venue in the heart of Derbyshire, in the Midlands of England. Well, in studio, Derm Byrne with me. We're going to look forward to the cross country in a lot more detail. But one thing here at Chatsworth that is very influential is the time. Just quickly sum up how influential we can expect that to be.
It's the best thing about what we've got in the ERM legs is every single leg tells a different story. Every single leg challenges a different part of this triathlon of event, and as we talk about it today, it's all about the cross country. This whole event is all about the cross country, and within that phase it's all about the cross country time, as you say. In over 1,200 runs in over 10 years, 2 people have made the time in this particular class at Chatsworth. Back in 2013 it was Astier, Nicolas, quickly de Bugey, and last year in this class Chris Burton did it. I think we have a field of fast horses. The early call.
Tell us, give us the numbers. We want to know a figure.
Well, the time will be made today. It may even be made twice. But I don't think it'll be made more than that.
Who are you going to say is going to make it?
Oh, Nicole. I think Solidoon. I think we have a grey who's a little bit down the order, but we saw that clear show jumping around. We needed to see that clear show jumping around. Aachen is the only one in the recent 4. Aachen is the only one that we had a clear show jumping around. They were on the podium that day. Will they be on the podium today? Don't rule out a full thoroughbred, Solidoon. I think they're going to be a big climber. Where are they? They're down the order a little bit. They're currently sitting in 15th position.
But she pulled up 15 places from that clear round in the show jumping. She's already climbed up that leaderboard.
She absolutely has, and she's going to continue to climb. What we got to concentrate on, and look, Elizabeth touched on this in her own interview, and Gemma touched on it as well, and we're going to come on to Gemma next. Clear rounds jumping. We can talk about the time for so long, but without that clear round jumping, it means nothing. 20 penalties in the jumping is going to be very, very expensive. We need that clear round jumping from Solidoon. They will have the natural speed. As a full thoroughbred, an ex-racehorse, they will have natural speed that they can still be within themselves and be very close, if not inside the time, Nicole. Let's go on to the leader. Quick Look has...
Is she going to live up to her name? That's what we want to know, isn't it, viewers? Will Quick Look be living up to her name?
Well,
Because 14 seconds in hand over second place, Bettina Hoy for Germany.
Absolutely, and it was quickly the Bugé who was the first person to make the time.
We like the theme here, don't we?
We do, now, and we also like the Greys. We called it from the start, day for the Greys. It's going to be hopefully a second day for the Greys. How many seconds have they got in hand, Nicole?
14.
So they can be 14 seconds over. And I don't think Designer is quite as quick look. So I expect they might, by the time they're going out last, here in the Event Rider Masters, we go reverse order for that final 20 cross country. It played a role last year. We saw it playing a role when Izzy was on the course at Gackham, and Oliver knew that he was able to, he knew had the feedback. Now remember, Bettina Hoy went out in this position when we were in Blair.
She did. Senior Medical.
Kilnabridden Evo. Oliver heard when he was on Kilnabridden Evo that she'd had that unfortunate. It was at the hedges coming towards the end.
The
at
penultimate fence. And actually, that's really interesting because here again, there is a very similar question at the last fence. Two enormous brush corners that I think are going to be very influential. Riders will be looking at the time. They'll be pushing towards home. And as we've said, those 20 penalties are a lot more expensive than a few seconds of time.
Very expensive. Quick Look has to jump clear. Gemma knows that herself. Has to jump clear. She's been round the course already this morning. The other CIC 3-star class, she's already run on that really, really promising 9-year-old Santiago Bay, who made such...
One of your favourites.
Yeah, I always smile when I think of Santiago Bay. Not Mr. Bass. Mr. Bass stays favourite, but Santiago Bay, Caroline Telch's 9-year-old mare, really, really exciting combination for the future of British eventing. Let's get back to Quick Look. Not only have they the potential to win, to be the first female rider of the Event Rider Masters.
To have a lady rider on top of that podium. We could have a podium full of female riders this time.
Oh, and potentially full of Greys. Greys and girl power. We've been saying it all along.
You would be in heaven, Dem. But what we really want to see, because out there on course, Ian Stark's track, it is as big as ever. This is the Olympic level of the sport. We have so much to look forward to this afternoon. And let's take a closer look at what is in store for all of our combinations.
Ian Stark's Event Rider Masters course wends its way through the rugged Derbyshire countryside at the stately Chatsworth estate. One of the first big questions has to be the St James's Place leap at 3, setting them up for the first combinations. Queen Mary's Bower is protected by some serious big chunky questions. Up the hills and through the trees to the main water, the ice pond coming up at fence 11. Then once again the relentless climb here in Derbyshire to the Land Rover Stag's Heads. Not for the unwary, competitors will really have to ride the horse they're on rather than a set stride. Dodson and Horrell launch again, ready to catch out the unwary. And very, very close to home, the SAP Ditch and Brush. A more than 90-degree turn back to that second corner could catch out the unwary. Towards the end of this 3,515-metre course to be covered inside 6 minutes and 10 seconds. In over 1,000 starts, only 2 riders have ever made the time here at Chatsworth. Can anyone do it in 2017?
Oh my goodness, the sun shines on the righteous. The scene is absolutely set for a cracking final phase in this leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters here live from the Dodson and Horrell Chatsworth International Horse Trials. Now, Dybody looked pretty sweet, didn't she, before the show jumping, but she created an evil track. It was a tough test. I'm not sure that Ian Stark looks quite so sweet, but he's our course designer for the cross country. And once again, a tough test, but the Masters expects it.
Yeah, possibly equally evil with Dybe. Yeah, no, it's a decent track out there. The thing is, it's a rider's track. You know, there's lots of room all over the course to have a little glance off and get a 20 penalties. So it's concentration the whole way. But, you know, for the Masters, when it gets towards the end of the competition and the pressure's on and the time's important, because it's a very tight time out there. They'll be lucky to get anyone inside the time. So the time really is going to count. So that adds its pressure. And, you know, sometimes riders can have a rush of blood to the brain and get it wrong. But it's out there, it's all jumpable, but at speed and you know, problem after problem, it might be more influential.
Ian, you and your team have worked incredibly hard on the footing. It's been an unseasonably dry build-up to this event, but we have got absolutely perfect conditions. The thing that poses problems here is the undulations.
Yeah, we're very lucky. I mean, it has been wetter here than probably the rest of the country, and we have old drains coming off the top of the hill that sort of keeps watering the lower part, which is quite useful. But David and Mike and the boys have been working really hard. They've used the Verta drainer and they've used the aggravators where needed. And then we had a great dump of rain last night, which was perfect. But it is the terrain here that affects it. And there's just little, it's not, I mean, there's a steep hill there, but there's little ups and downs and twists and turns. And sometimes the camber goes the wrong way and it catches people out. So they've really just got to focus and be in balance and keep kicking.
And Ian, when I look at this course, you know, you could have popped the fences somewhere a little bit more straightforward, but you use that terrain, don't you? The fence, if it was on a flat, might be pretty straightforward, but using that in the clever way that you do makes it even more of a test.
Yeah, I'm not that nice to put it on the flat. I think there's one combination of fence 4 and the flat 5, and it's quite friendly. Other than that, it's all ups and downs. And you don't have to have massive fences, you know, if you've got them positioning and balance and focusing. You've just got to keep looking ahead. Least little distraction, you know, if they see mum and dad in the crowd, then they're out of that.
They certainly are. We've had 1,000 horses run across here since 2010. Only 2 have made the time. What's your prediction for this afternoon?
I think Gemma Tattersall will give it her all. She might be the closest, but we might be lucky to get anyone inside the time.
And would you consciously wheel it like that? What is it that makes the time here so difficult here at Chatsworth?
You don't have to try and wheel it tight. I mean, the terrain does the job for you. It's, you know, we know it's 570 metres per minute. That just goes out the window. You know, you've got the bit of gallop on the flat, very little gallop on the flat. It's all ups and downs, and it's really difficult to keep coming off turns to all these questions. So I don't have to be nasty, mean, or whatever. I just have to put the fences in the right place, and it's up to the boys and girls.
You were legendary with your cross-country riding. What do you feel you've taken from that into what you do as a course designer?
I think the riders might have a different opinion to me, but you know, I always loved the sort of the big scary fences and just kick on and ride and get from A to B, and mix that with sort of the more technical, modern stuff, but not too twisty. Just lines that they've got to hold and keeping the speed up. That's what I want to do, and that's what I want to give back to the sport.
And when you look at the courses that you design all over the world, because you're in the US, you're everywhere, what would be your overriding philosophy? If somebody said to you, Ian Starr, when a horse starts out of a start box and finishes out of a start box, what is your ultimate aim? What's the philosophy?
Frighten the you-know-what out of the riders and make it very understandable for the horses. I'm always terrified that the horses don't read the question. If the horses understand it, I'm very happy.
Well, listen, it looks like you've delivered exactly that. Can we give you a prediction for the winner? We've got Gemma in pole position at the moment. She's got 18 seconds over our second place rider. Is that enough for her to hold it?
I think, without being rude about Bettina, I think Gemma's a faster rider anyway, but I think she'll be tough to beat. But you never know, one or two further back, if they go fast enough and get the time, then they'll be knocking on the door as well. But Gemma's my favourite. We
are set fair for a top class competition. We cannot wait for the cross-country phase. There are going to be climbers, there's no doubt about that. I've got a big fancy for Izza Power to get up there on the podium. Her brother Robbie Power's just been having the most phenomenal season, and I think there's a little bit of sibling rivalry going there. She's got a point to prove this afternoon. But so much to play for, guys, and it is very, very tight. No room for error.
Well, we are delighted to be joined in the studio by Ireland's Mark Carl. Mark, thank you very much for joining us, because we've just grabbed you off a horse. You've got a busy afternoon ahead of you, but let's just go back and talk about your dressage, because personal best yesterday, 41.7 with Jamila.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a shock when I read it, but
enjoy it.
Yeah,
enjoy it.
Exactly,
own it.
Exactly. So it's put the pressure on, because I'm usually coming from bit lower down, and it's a bit easier moving up than being at the top and making a mistake and slipping back down.
You talked about it yesterday. How big an influence has Ian been?
Ian Woodhead, I was all, you know, the marks and everything in the last 18 months, 2 years to him. He's as passionate about it as unrivaled. You know, he comes to me winter when it's freezing cold at 5:30 in the morning. He'll do 1 or 2 3 lessons, 4 lessons, however many you can fit in. And then he goes off and he does a day teaching elsewhere. And you know, he drives me. He says, right, I'm going to be here this day, these 2 days.
Into shape.
He whips me into shape.
That's what we like. And Amy Woodhead was actually in the commentary box with us yesterday during your test, and she did think that her dad would be pretty pleased with you.
Yeah, he was very pleased. He was very pleased.
We should hope so. I wouldn't have liked to have seen him if he wasn't pleased. this morning's show jumping, you were in 9th place after the dressage, and you have been one of our early climbers, up to 4th with an excellent clear round.
Yeah, Gemma jumped very good this morning. It caused quite a few problems. I got stuck in the traffic coming in, so I actually missed the course walk this morning. So I got here just as they closed the rope. So I watched the first couple jump and then got on and warmed her up. And
who needs to walk a course?
Yeah, it overcomplicates it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But what's the plan with her going into the cross country? Because she has good Chatsworth form.
Yeah, she's been here a couple of times. She ran well here last year in the CIC. Not super quick because we were building sort of other things sort of for Rio and everything, so I didn't rush her too much. But she's come back from Rio. She gained a lot of experience out there. She's come back a lot mature. She's had 3 runs this season, and touch wood, she's run really well. So we're looking forward to this afternoon.
Well, we can't wait to watch you, and we're going to really look forward to hearing your thoughts, the rider's perspective on the course a little bit later on. But Alice is out there in the sunshine, soaking up all the atmosphere.
Nicole, we're in the 15-minute countdown till the first horse heads out on the course. The top 20 will run in reverse order of merit. So currently the horses are down the bottom, getting ready, getting their gear on, getting their legs greased. Then they'll come up into this area here. This is the warm-up for the Event Rider Masters. These are the fences that they'll be jumping to warm up. They're not obviously as big as the fences they'll meet out there, but they've got a selection that they can jump just to get the horses in the groove, get them relaxed. They'll be in here for around about 10-15 minutes. We'll expect the first horse, which is Sir Mark Todd, who's our first rider out on the track. He'll be up here in just a few minutes' time. Then they come out of this pre-area into that start box and head out. So when they're jumping these fences, they're always thinking, right, red flag on your right, white flag on your left, and the countdown will begin. So Mark Todd, we couldn't have a better Pathfinder round this tricky course, and we'll be able to get a really good idea of just how tough that time is going to be as we head into it. So for you, our audience who joined us from all around the world, a very warm welcome to the 3rd phase of the Event Rider Masters. This is the crux. The top 20 will run in reverse order of merit, and that means that Gemma Tattersall, we will not know if she's the winner until she completes this test. 6 minutes 10 is our optimum time on the cross country, and these undulating hills here at Chatsworth in the heart of Derbyshire, just in the north of England, pose their own unique test. This, out of all the CIC 3-stars, is the one where the jumping is the most influential. Some of the others, if you get a lead on the dressage, then you're home and hose. Here, that is very much not the case, as Dermot and Nicole have been telling us, and our Echo Ratings partners. The stats tell us you have to jump the fences here at Chatsworth, and time is going to be very, very crucial. Nicole will be across all of that. We'll be watching them as they come through the finish, and then that all-important podium, and who will top it come 4 o'clock.
Well, the scene is set because we have an excellent afternoon of cross-country action for you. But let's take a look at what happened to our dressage leader in the show jumping, because it was Thomas Carlisle Upsilon who led after the dressage, the stallion, a personal best. But this is what happened in his show jumping. And Mark, just talk us through this in a second, because the horse was jumping the most beautiful round, and then we have a bit of a snag, and unfortunately
a blip coming to the last double. Yeah, jumped a beautiful round. He had plenty of time. We'll see, it's coming up here now shortly. He's just coming back to this oxer off the turn, and then they've been going 8 strides down to the vertical, double of verticals here, or some went 9. So just here he starts to change his mind and think, oh, maybe I should come on, add one.
And the horse says no.
And the horse said no.
And actually, I mean, I mentioned a little early on, I've seen that horse do that in the show jumping before, and he leaves the pole standing. But if he isn't happy with the distance, he does just say
right.
No.
Yeah, I haven't seen I've seen the horse once before, and it was very good. Yeah, it was never going to touch a stick, but it was just a bit of cross wires there coming to the last. And again, you know, the format in reverse order just puts pressure on the riders who's coming down thinking, I'm clear, I'm just going to make sure I'm clear and jump this double of verticals.
We saw it last week. Sam and Halebob.
Yeah.
And today Upsilon.
Yeah.
I would have bet my house on 3 clear rounds.
So good job you didn't, because the stats apparently do
whoa,
throw up.
whoa,
Yeah.
Nicole, be careful, be careful. Any horse can have a pole. The stats are doing pretty well so far.
And actually, Thomas Carlyle, it's worth noting, is still in 5th, 42.2. So 1 pole down, not 1 pole down, 1 refusal gives him 4 penalties, the same as a pole down, plus that time fault. And that only sees him drop down to 5th. But Gemma Tattersall jumped a beautiful clear round, and that saw her go to the top of the leaderboard. And we can see her now.
Yeah, she jumped a super round. She's well known for her jumping ability, and she gets her horses in a nice rhythm, and they all want to jump for her. She was very economical on the turns. She knew what she had to do.
And Gemma has 14 seconds in hand of Bettina Hoy for Germany in 2nd. She, I think, will be looking to use this mare as quick as she can across the country.
Yeah, she's quite a strong mare. So she probably won't set off at 100 miles an hour, but she doesn't need to. She's got a good leeway, so she's got that in her back pocket really, and she can just set off in a nice rhythm with the mare. Bettina's got to go inside the time, to stay on her mark. So, and which is difficult to do here on this track.
Well, how difficult, Mark? You're going to be facing this course with Jamila. 10 time penalties added last year. But as you say, there was other things in mind when we were talking about Rio. We can go all the way back to 2002, Kim Severson and Winsome Adante. 2003, Kim Severson and Winsome Adante.
Well, the scene is set, and down at the start, Alice is with our Pathfinder.
I'm with our Pathfinder, none other than Sir Mark Todd. This is not the position you wanted to find yourself in, Mark.
No, but it seems to be my luck in the ARM classes is continuing. An annoying 2 rails down the show jumping with this horse. He's normally a very good jumper. So anyway, it's put us down the list, and here I am, first out on the cross country. So I'll just be going out there and hopefully giving him a nice ride. He's got Samur coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So hopefully just a nice, confident boosting run round here.
So in terms of time checks, we shouldn't use you as our gauge into how fast this time is going to be?
No, not really. I mean, I'm not going to be going really slow, but I'm not going to be pushing it for the time. He'll just go around comfortably within himself, and there's enough hills here to give him a bit of a blow, so it'll be a good run.
And you've got 10 minutes until the off. Just for viewers who perhaps haven't seen this and haven't seen this routine, what will you be doing with him between now and the start book?
Well, at the moment, we're just parked up, relaxing. He's pretty chilled, but, he's had the show jumping this morning, so we'll just have a cant around here, pop over a few fences, just to make sure he knows he's in cross-country mode, and then off we go.
Nicole, I think we safely say we've got 2 very relaxed pros here, our Pathfinders for this first leg.
Cool as a cucumber, as always, Mark Todd. We'll be looking forward to welcoming him out on course later. Well, we've heard from Ian Stark and got the course designer's perspective, but Mark, tell us your thoughts on it as a rider.
It's always a good course here. He builds a nice. It's nice and flowing, but big timber everywhere, and he uses all the undulations in the park, which makes the time, as Dermot reflected on earlier, that it makes the time difficult to get here because of the up and down terrain. If it was all flat, then horses would make it easy. But we've had a good bit of overnight rain, so I've had a walk around later just a while ago, and the ground is perfect here. So I think, if anyone's going to make the time, it'll be today because conditions are perfect.
It is. We had a lot of rain last night, and actually that's just softened the ground up a treat.
Yeah.
They've worked really, really hard, the ground here at Chatsworth. And what about some of the key combinations we should be keeping a close eye on?
Oh, I think, you start off gently enough. I suppose your first one is here, the water here.
Queen Mary's Bower, which is a feature fence at Chatsworth, isn't it?
So you'll see, I've watched a few, and they jump the log. If they jump the log very well, some of them are getting 3 strides to the triple brush. Other ones are getting 4 strides. They had a corner there where the triple brush was last year, and it didn't jump great. It was a little bit, some were getting there on 3.5. So that'll be the first influence one. Then you've got the other water, which shouldn't really cause any problems because it's all in a straight line over the fish in the water. Then your next one is going to be the double of corners.
Right at the end of the course. Talk us through
Well, you've
this.
got the ones before that, the 2.
The pinned corners.
Yeah, which are on that turn coming down the hill. The horses have been galloping. They need to just come back, wait, get a nice turn. You don't want to jump the first one too fast, or you'll go beyond your turn. They'll start to slip on the ground, and then you've got the brush then to the 2 corners at the end. So
the SOP corner combination.
Yeah, so he's slowing them up at the end.
That was one thing that Janelle mentioned earlier. Janelle mentioned that potentially that very last part of the course was where the questions began to be asked again, and where it got twisty, turny, and a lot of the time penalties might begin to come in that very final part of the course.
Yeah, I think you'll find the time penalties start to rack up there as people just take that extra pull, or if they don't, you're going to have the odd glance off, little slip-ups here and there while they're chasing the clock.
And have you spoken to any of your other riders about their plans for the course, or do you make your plan fairly?
No, you can.
Independently.
You make your own plan really, and then while you're warming up, you'll have a chat. You'll chat about different fences to different people, and you'll watch them as they go around. And when they come back, you might catch one of them, and they'll say it rode well, or it didn't ride. That one didn't ride as well as we thought it would. And there's good camaraderie amongst all the riders. Yes, obviously, everyone wants to win, but if you ask them a question, they'll help you out.
And that's something actually really special about the sport of eventing, isn't it? Because a lot of other sports, it's all very cutthroat, but it's a real family within eventing.
Absolutely.
You all want to win, but...
Yeah, everyone wants to win, but they all realise that you can win badminton last week and you can be swimming in the water this week. It's very levelling.
Well, hopefully we won't be seeing anybody swim in the water today. We'll wait and see. But we have 35 combinations, I think, coming forward for you. A few withdrawals after the show jumping, and we'll be able to look at that scoreboard in a few moments' time. But Alice is down at the start.
Okay, so Catherine Coleman for the US, just warming up behind me. Sarah Ennis, one that we were very surprised to have a rail. She had the best record coming into this competition in the show jumping phase, but that rail was hugely expensive, pushed her outside the top 20, but she is super speedy. She's just taking a walk there. She's had a couple of jumps. Catherine Coleman talking to Sir Mark Todd in behind us. We're waiting for Sam Eckroyd to get up here, but we know that Sir Mark is our Pathfinder on the course. We will just have one horse out on the course for the first. So as soon as Sir Mark finishes, the second horse will get out on the course. And that gives us time to have a good look around the course, get a feel for the rhythm of the track, and give you, our audience, an idea of the story of this extraordinary track that takes us up and down throughout the park of Chatsworth, which again hosts this extraordinary event. But they're just putting their final preps on. We won't catch a word with them yet because I think we might be disturbing them, Nicole.
Andrew, that's true.
Well, it does get tense. I know Mark Todd was really calm down at the start, but it is, riders have their own plan to get their round underway and very much tailor that to their horse, don't they, Mark? So let's take a look at the start order, because the top 20 run in reverse order, but they are mixed in from there. So Sir Mark Todd, what better way to get us underway? Kiltubrid Rhapsody, 51.1, his total coming forward. And actually, he will be looking to build upon his 23rd place. And a fast clear for him, no doubt, see him climb up the leaderboard. In there, one to note, Sarah Ennis for Ireland, BLM Diamond Deluxe. And then we start to see in the next set of riders heading into the top 20. Frog Rock, Izzy Taylor, they'll be the first of the combinations out on course. But the speed horses, for that influential Chatsworth time, Derm, who do we need to watch?
Well, there's one at the top of your screen right now. We've got an Irish rider beside us in the studio. We've got another on a grey there that we're going to be pinning a lot of hopes to make that speed. Elizabeth Power Saladoon. Don't forget them. There's the top 5 on your screen now. Gemma Tattersall has to be able to deal with the pressure of going last. Designer 10 probably won't make the time. Balan will be up against it. Mark Kyle is beside me. He'll be pushing for the time on Jamila. I expect Mark in that position. And then we're going to have Tom Carlile and Upsilon. They should be able to make the time as well. Not make the time, but be very close to it. Not many riders have made the time here. We've talked about that all the way along. It's going to get exciting.
I'll be interested to see how fast Tom Carlile does run Upsilon, bearing in mind the horse is just 9 years old and he is looking for the future. Well, one thing in this sport we cannot live without, the owners who work so hard. And to be honest, I think it is more nerve-wracking being an owner watching on the sidelines.
Nikki Ryan joins me now, who owns Sir Mark Todd's horse. Got the nerves, Nikki.
I am a little bit scared, but very excited at the same time. And actually, the horse is pretty cool cross country, so the nerves are here, but I think he'll be good. The going's wonderful, so not too much to worry about. I've got the best rider on him, so.
You've been experienced at so many, the top level Olympics and everything else, but the Masters, a Pathfinder, that's pretty tense.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been in a position where my horse has been a Pathfinder before, so it makes it even more nerve-wracking. Butterflies are going, that's for sure.
Okay, well, the whistle's gone. We're going to pan round. Sir Mark Todd is going into the start box. Here he goes. They're counting down. It'll be counting down from 10 as he leaves the box now. 5 seconds to go, Nicole.
2, 1.
Well, what better man to get us underway? You see the clock starts to count down. Mark Todd with Kiltubrid Rhapsody, 51.1 their starting score. And we'll be looking forward to seeing them out on course in just a moment. Mark, you are going to head off to get ready for your round. Best of luck later on.
Thank you very much.
We'll be watching very, very carefully. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you a little bit later.
Mark Todd on course with Kiltubrid Rhapsody. Mark, one of the most experienced riders at this level, 85 CIC 3-stars in the last 6 seasons. He has been inside the time in 10% of those. I doubt, it's going to be very tough for him to do that today. We've been through it all the time, all the way through so far. 52 clear jumping rounds at CIC 3-star level for Mark. When you think about the experience that he brings forward and the confidence that he'll have taken from badminton last week, we then turn it the other side when we're talking about the horse. Kiltubrid Rhapsody, just a 10-year-old, but not very much mileage on the clock. 1 CIC 3-star so far. He did jump clear, he didn't make the time. That was at, well, they did in the CCI at Buccleuch. I'm just looking at it here. They did it in the CCI at Buccleuch. They jumped clear, but they were just over the time. And at CIC, it was the 8 and 9-year-old class at Blenheim. That very strong form line. We saw it coming through earlier from Andrew Nicholson and Swallow Springs as well. They were third there. This horse was also there, Kiltubrid Rhapsody. A grey, a lot of talk about him. There's another grey that there's been a lot of talk about sitting at the top, and we've got Gemma joining us, who's sitting at the top of the leaderboard, but she's going to begin to talk us through what she's seeing on screen.
Hey, Deb.
Hello, Gemma.
Well, those tables, Gemma, I have to say, when I walked them, they are enormous.
Yeah, so I've been really lucky enough to ride around already this morning on Santiago Bay, who is amazing. And yeah, she popped them. But they are certainly 2 very wide tables on quite a forward 2-stride distance.
Well, just talk us through the Queen Mary's Bower here, because those 2 elements are really skinny. And we've just
really,
seen
really
that
skinny.
there.
So you have a log going in, and then it actually walks 3.5 strides to the skinny triple brush in the middle. I actually made the decision to go on 4 strides, so I made Santiago Bay pop the first one and then waited for 4, and she did it really well, and that's what I will be planning to do with Quick Look later on too.
So Mark Todd, Kiltubrid Rhapsody, carrying those 20 penalties for that run out on course.
Well, Mark Todd's ERM
I'm glad you're
nightmare
saying it, Deb,
continues.
because I wasn't going to.
No, we might as well talk about it. I mean, for a rider that has just seen such success, and such success at all levels, it has been just, it's more of a coincidence, but it's so interesting that just Event Rider Masters so far, he hasn't been able to get it together, particularly in this phase. We haven't had a clear, we haven't had a clear jumping round yet.
It's not like Toddy, is it?
It's not like Toddy, which is the only reason we can say it, Jem. If it wasn't Toddy, I think
You're
we'd
a brave man, Deb.
we'd be
You're
a little
brave
bit more
man.
sympathetic.
Toddy's a legend, certainly in my eyes. I think in most people's eyes.
Do you still find it hard to sort of reconcile that you compete against him and beat him?
Yes, I do. I think a very surreal moment for me was last year when I was on the actual Olympic team with Pippa Funnell, who is my idol. So being with people like Toddy and Pippa and people like that, it's like, goodness me, I just can't believe it.
What about beating Bettina Hoy in dressage?
Yeah, that's quite a good one.
It's also a good one to put on the CV.
Yeah, that's quite a good one.
Well, down at the collecting ring, Alice is waiting with Sarah Ennis.
Sarah, the attention's building here. Mark Todd, the Pathfinder. We hear he's going okay.
Yeah, it's a tricky track. There's a good couple of questions out there. I went out earlier and watched a few, and I saw a few problems. So, it's all to play it right for.
Where's the area you're most worried?
Probably up there, the log coming down on a moving 5 to 2 angled hedges. Saw it ride really nicely and saw it ride really badly.
Well, if there's anyone to show us how to do it, it's you and Sir Mark. Very best of luck.
Thank you very much, Alice.
Well, we'll be watching Sarah Ennis out on course very shortly, but that is the start box. And what are you thinking, Gemma, when you're cantering around just before the start? Or as long as it's fit for broadcast?
Yes, well, normally I feel very sick, Nicole, to be honest. I do get very nervous, but always try and turn them into good nerves. And yeah, just concentrating on my horse, getting there in the best possible way, really.
Well, Mark Todd, Kiltubrid Rhapsody, you saw the clock there is clicking down. He needed to be there with 1:55 on the clock to get home. We're not going to get an indication of the optimum time for him because of that earlier problem. So he'll have taken his foot off the accelerator, but 71.1, very much looking to get the horse home. So Mark Todd, our Pathfinder, carrying 20 penalties. And Gemma, the course so far in the other classes has caused quite a few problems.
Yeah, it's caused loads of trouble, which actually surprised me a little bit. But there are plenty of really tricky questions towards the end of the course after a few quite decent hills, which I think is taking it out of the horse a little bit. And then, you know, it's causing a few run-outs.
Well, this is the Masters, and it is some of the best in the world coming forward. But we'll just see fence 15, A, B and C, Mark Todd there. Well, his clock is counting down. He is certainly down on the clock. He's 14 seconds to get home. That's not going to happen. But he's just very much hacking home now, isn't he?
Yeah. He's obviously already had his 20 penalties, so I expect he's just giving the horse a good school round and getting a schooling round in today.
Well, speaking of schooling rounds, Gemma, it's a year ago since Santiago Bay came here in a CIC 3-star. What a year they've gone on to have as an 8-year-old, going into their 9-year-old year now, to come back and deliver the performance they have.
Yeah, she's a seriously special horse. I mean, the way she went round this course this morning, she just gives me so much confidence. I was saying to Chris Bartle, I can ride her on the shortest stride or the longest stride. She has so much scope and she's so clever and quick and careful with her feet. She's unbelievable to ride.
Well, she set that record as the best finishing score for an 8-year-old at Barbary last year. She became a real ERM favourite over the legs, and it's one that I would expect we might look to later in the series.
Absolutely.
As those series points build.
So our Pathfinder is home safely. So Mark Todd for New Zealand, Kiltubrid Rhapsody. They carried 20 penalties, 19.6 time. He didn't look to be going that quickly across the country, though. Early problem, Gemma, and very much just carried him home safely.
Yeah, just having a good schooling round there, Toddy. Getting between those flags and probably just, maybe getting to know the horse a little bit for another competition.
Well, you have 14 seconds in hand. Not sure if you knew that. I'm going to tell you.
I thought I only had 11.
We'll go on 11, just
okay,
in
so
case.
this means that my father is wrong, which would be fabulous because he's never wrong, he's always right. He told me I had 11.
I will double check my maths just to be extra sure.
Oh, that would be very good.
That would be great.
I feel like Daddy Tat versus
Daddy
me.
Tat, yeah, to be fair, he loves you, Nicole, so I'm sure you'll be fine.
And we've got Matt in the commentary box later. He's going to be talking us around your round as well. So we're looking forward to that. But down
it's his birthday today. Did you know that?
Yes, we will be sure to wish him many happy returns, because Catherine Coleman and Back to Business for the United States of America, they're now away 57.5. Their dressage, 10 to add from the show jumping, so 67.5. A really good round in the show jumping from them, just unfolded a little towards the end. But Catherine quickly away from the start, clear of the first two, and it's a nice couple of fences to get riders underway before they go to the St James's Place leap at 3, Gemma, and that is enormous.
Yeah, so fence 3 is a huge table off a tight turn going uphill. It's quite important that you make a good turn and try and stay in balance with your horse and let them have their heads and stretch over the table to get the width.
We know Catherine from Longwood as well, so Longwood known as one of the speed horses that we see in the sport. Back to Business is no slow operator and could be a good indicator on the time. We saw Toddy with 19. Whoa, they're still on.
Oh,
that was close.
Yeah,
but they're through. What I was going to say is Toddy with a stop. He didn't carry as many falls as I thought for a course that might, that is known for its difficulty in making the time. Catherine Coleman did not has not too many time penalties on Back to Business record. 2.8 time penalties at Belton in the CIC 3-star, Gemma, and that's not a course that's easy to make the time.
No, not at all. My prediction today is that we have 2 people inside the time.
Are you going for? Are you?
It's not going to be me. No, it's not going to be me, probably. But yeah, I think the time today actually is gettable, having ridden around it. The ground could not be more perfect. It has a bit of give in the ground without being hard. It's super galloping track today.
Well, Gemma, 2 today, 6 have made the time in 15 years.
I still say it's going to be 2.
However, there's an Echo Ratings analyst sitting in Ireland who is saying the exact same thing.
See, I'm not just a pretty face.
Sam Watson is coming through saying, I think today is the day for 2 more to join them, that we could have 2 inside the time.
Well,
4 strides there. Sorry, Nicole.
That's right.
4
That's where we
strides.
saw Mark have his problem, wasn't it?
Yeah, so she did really well. She got a little pop over the log and then waited and was really patient to get the 4 and kept her leg on.
So Catherine Coleman back to business. This one of those fences, Gemma, that's set at a very awkward angle.
Yeah, it really is, and it's also set on the, slightly on the slope, so you have to come up and make sure that you're in really, really good balance, especially on landing there. I've seen a few horses this morning pecking on landing, so it's a good place to just sit back, slip your reins, and be in that safety position.
Well, next away is Sarah Ennis for Ireland with the BLM Diamond Deluxe. This a combination who we expected to go well in the show, jumping just the 1 pole down, an unlucky pole, 49.8, just outside the top 20. And this is the first of our combinations that we can really see set a target, because that is certainly not a bad score at this level. And we will be looking forward to seeing Sarah giving us a good indication of that optimum time as well. We've talked about it a lot. We will continue to talk about it a lot, as we know it is going to be influential. Will she climb back up the leaderboard, Derm?
Well, what's really interesting when we look at Irish riders or when we look at American riders competing in Britain, what we're trying to get a read on is how the form at the Irish internationals or how the form at the American internationals plays out against form on British soil. It's something that we're trying to manage at Echo Ratings. This is what will give you an idea. At Ballindennis, Diamond Deluxe had 4 time penalties but a clear jumping round. They had 6.4 time penalties in the CIC last year at Ballindennis. It is coming up as a speed horse, but what we're going to have to see is them transfer that Irish form, so form at Ballindennis, Kililky and Campfire, into form over here. The reason that I mentioned Catherine Coleman and back to business is they've showed it at Belton, and Belton we know that can match up, not necessarily as difficult as Chatsworth, but it matches up as a difficult place to make the time. I think both of the combinations that we have on course, they're both giving us good indicators.
Well, amazing aerial shots of the course here at Chatsworth. Just coming to these enormous tables, Sarah Ennis goes on the 2 strides.
Super. She's in a good safety position in her body as well.
Near the main arena.
They are so narrow, those angled hedges, so narrow when you walk up to them. See where the horse has actually got to jump the fence. You know, these horses are so well trained and so honest to jump them.
So 2 combinations out on course for Ireland is Sarah Ennis. Oh, bit of vocal encouragement.
She had to seriously sit out the back door there and kick. Good girl.
And she really ducked under that tree, didn't she? Taking the tightest possible line. This is going to be a great starting indication of that optimum time. 6 minutes and 10. We'll get a time check for Sarah as she heads on round the course, because 0.4 of a penalty for every second over that optimum time, it can certainly add up very quickly.
Well, as we know, we saw stellar rebound at Badminton last week, but Sarah knows exactly what you need to do to be successful here at this track. It's different horse today. It's BLM Diamond Deluxe today. Catherine Coleman still on.
3, 2.
She's just coming down to the last combination here, which is a really serious combination, new combination on the course with a big ditch hedge to 2 corners on a very tight line.
And actually, the clock has turned red already, so that means the time penalties, you can see them on your screen, they're clicking on up. That is increasing the penalty score, and Catherine actually needed 33 seconds from the first element there to get home. So she is about 45 seconds down.
Before the start of the cross country.
This takes a lot of time. I think you would if you're going to make the time, you need more than 30 seconds because that is such a time-consuming combination. It's running downhill. You've got to anchor them right at the end of the course to get between those flags.
Well, through the ice pond, and Sarah Ennis, BLM Diamond Deluxe, will hopefully get a time for them very shortly, because we'll be able to give you an indication of whether they are on target to be anywhere close to that 6:10 optimum time. But Catherine Coleman for the United States of America has finished. Lovely big pack for the horse, and she will be very quickly with her support team. The grooms all do an incredible job. Don't forget to vote for your hashtag ERM Supergroom.
And you all should vote for Mummy Tat. She's been a legend.
Go on then, give us
before,
10 seconds. Why should Mummy Tat get the Supergroom vote?
Well, for one, she drives me everywhere all over the country every weekend. She's here with 2 horses, just her on her own, and she washed Quick Look's tail 6 times before her dressage yesterday.
Wow, the price of perfection, 6 times. It was worth it though.
Price of having Gemma, I'd say.
So use the hashtag ERM Supergroom. Get involved, get in touch with us, ERM Eventing as well. Well, Harry Mead away with Away Cruising on course. Another great grey, 65.6. They had a show jumping round. They would rather forget in 29th position after that. And they will no doubt be looking for a good round across the country to build upon their hopes for the rest of the series. Harry doesn't look to be travelling too quickly, Gemma.
No, I would think that he's just going to give this horse a nice round after slightly disappointing show jumping round today. I expect he'll just be giving him a really good confidence-giving ride today.
I'm on his farm. Oh, yeah.
So Harry went on the 3 strides there. This is obviously a big, scopy horse, and he knew that he'd make the distance there easily, and he rode for it. That was super through there.
So Horseware Stellar Rebound. Let's take a look at Sarah Ennis's clock, because she is heading towards the end of her round. She's just 15 seconds on the clock, so she's going to get time penalties, Gemma. The question will be how many, and then she's going to set our standard at the top of the leaderboard.
This combination just needs care at the end of the course. It would need care wherever it is, to be honest, because it's quite a tough combination. But when they've just been up and down a few hills, they might be a little bit puffed out, and it just needs plenty of care. My goodness, the horse looked like he jumped a shadow or something there.
Well, the clock has turned red. The time penalty's ticking up. 0.4 of a penalty for every second over the optimum. Sarah very sensibly takes a pull for the last, and she's through the finish 18 seconds over. 7.2 time. 64.2 though. That is our target. Sarah will set the standard for the rest of the competition. We have somebody to catch with a clear jumping round, and we'll be looking to see if anybody can go any quicker. Sarah certainly didn't hang around, but Tom Jackson and Dusty, they're our latest starters, just underway. A really uncharacteristic 2 show jumps down for Tom. This mare, just a 9-year-old, not overly experienced at this level. Ooh.
Oh, she just looked like she trod on something and then just lost her confidence up the hill there, and just wasn't quite sure what was being asked of her. Well done, Tom.
And now he comes to a second time and doesn't really...
Tom Jackson and Dusty, 52.1. And that was an unfortunate 20 penalties, so 20 will be added for them.
So Dusty it is coming down to the Northern Oham.
So we'll get those 20 penalties up on the screen for you, but 52.1 added 20 for that refusal. And the mare, only 9 years of age, as we've said, and she'll no doubt learn from that. As Harry Mead away cruising at the Land Rover Stag's Heads. And these angled brushes, such an acute angle between those, Gemma.
Yeah, and he really took a real angle there going down, and the horse was very straight and honest to jump through there.
Tom Jackson and Dusty at Queen Mary's Bower.
This mare just looks like she's gone a little bit green today, so Tom's just having to nurse her through. Tom is such a beautiful rider, so I'm sure he'll be just nursing her through and getting her confident again.
He just didn't get the line right there.
Still only a 9-year-old, Dusty, so still...
Yeah, she's very young, and I don't think she's done too much at this level.
No,
so
just three CIC 3-stars.
So Harry Mead away cruising. Clear across the country so far, no jumping penalties, but Harry really hacking around. He's not gone for the time, so we will not be really judging that optimum time on his round. He's very much giving the horse a good confidence building round, but the clock is red and the time penalties start to rack up, and it's scary, Gemma, isn't it? Sat in this position when you see how quickly 0.4 can multiply.
Yeah, so quickly, it's scary. I'm going to have to get a wriggle on today and make sure that doesn't happen to me. But Harry's not worrying about that today. He's just hacking this horse home, giving him a super run. He's probably got somewhere else he's aiming for. It's all about building confidence, fitness, and partnership for your big ones.
Making the time, Gemma. Talk to us about making the time, because it's not just about the first part of the course or the last part of the course going flat out. What we really see consistently, or for a new person tuning in, it's about getting into a rhythm, that you're not taking a pull on the horse as you move through the competition.
Absolutely, you know, making the time is all about rhythm, balance, being quick to and from your fences, letting the horses jump out of their stride as much as possible. Being quick on your turns, looking up, making sure you're looking towards the next fence, you're on the tightest possible line. You've got to almost think that you're on a motorbike. You've got to be in the right balance, in the right gear, and at the right revs for each fence.
There's a huge amount of trust as well, isn't there, that has to go into that, because you have to believe that your horse understands exactly what's needed at each time.
Absolutely, and that needs building over a period of time. You know, if your horse is young at this level, you don't want to be going out necessarily to make the time. It's all about building partnership and confidence.
Over the Woodhouse roll top as David Dole and Chaps.
David just having to really ride for those two strides between those two big tables.
Chap, he's a 12-year-old. He has a reasonable level of experience. He has been at Chatsworth twice before. 2 clear jumping rounds from his 2 attempts here. Hasn't made the time, averaging 9.4 time penalties here at the venue. 9.6 time penalties in the CIC 3-star at Belton earlier this year, but they were clear inside the time in the CIC 2-star at Alden. Other than that, we do see time penalties on the record. We saw time penalties at Barbary. We saw time penalties at Blenheim.
He certainly looks like he's set out to be positive anyway. He's certainly giving it a good go, being
15
positive
seconds.
with the horse.
I spoke to him a little bit earlier on in the week, actually, and he was pretty keen to give it a good go across the country. He had a bit of a wry smile on his face.
2, 1, go. Good luck. Hector, 3 minutes.
Well, this looks to me like Flora Harris Bayano are running out of order. We should have seen them a couple of horses ago, but actually that can happen. The horse can throw a shoe or something in the warm-up. We'll try and get an update for that on that for you, but Flora Harris Bayano out on course, and a combination that have been clear inside the time across the country at a former ERM leg. They did so at Barbary last year, and Flora heads on to the St James's Place table at 3.
Caroline Harris, Rebecca Salt, combination who won Bramham 2 years ago.
Lovely balance from Flora there, super position. She slipped her reins and let the horse stretch for the back of that wide table.
Flora was part of the event
So the cross-country of leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters in 2017 well underway. Joining me in the studio, Gemma Tattersall, our leader going into the final phase, along with Echo Ratings Byrne.
The ground there looks like it's getting really tricky. We saw Dusty, Tom Jackson's horse, do a similar thing there. Bayano is a bit more experienced and managed to put a little tiny stride in and still leap like a cat over the second element. But yes, the ground there looks like it's getting tacky and tricky there.
Ian Stark, the course designer, is so clever in his use of the ground here, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is.
Every little bump.
Yeah, every little bump. Yes, he's very clever. Good old Starky.
You said that through gritted teeth at times there, Gemma.
Sometimes.
So Flora Harris and Bayano still looking full of running. This a combination who have won at this level before. Winners of Bramham a couple of years ago. Not always the easiest of rides. And Flora's put the 3 in.
Yeah, so she came further up and was straighter for the first table and put a nice little curving line in on the 3 strides. She did it super quick. And was very quick through that combination.
Bit of a reminder that I'm trying to rack my brains to this time 12 months ago, and I have a feeling that Flora actually had a problem at the Queen Mary's Bower.
I think she fell at the corner in the middle.
Aha.
We're okay
better.
today. Oh, we spoke too soon.
Almost pleased to be out the water, but Bayano just picks up 20 penalties there. That's a real shame for Flora because she jumped in beautifully and had a great shot at the first element.
She just jumped the middle element, and then instead of just riding forward on the 4 strides, she sat up and tried to wait for 5. And I think Bayano just ran out of impulsion there.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So David Dole and Chap nearing the end of their round.
Well, we do just have a report of a loose dog down in the area.
Super through there, that corner. Now there's just this last corner. Really straight, well done.
And that was quick.
Yeah, that was really quick through there. He was very in control and super on his lines.
Well, David Dole coming forward on a score of 60.7 from the show jumping. It'll be great to get an update for him. Don't forget BLM Diamond Deluxe. They've been locked in on a score of 57.
Penalties in the show jumping. Disappointing show jumping for Hector, who's with this horse been on the podium of the National Under-25 Championships in Bramham and in the Under-24 two-star Tattersall. Last year, they were well placed at Belton in the National Advance this spring.
So our latest starter, Hector Payne, at the 4th with Blue Moonshine. And that was much better, Gemma, than the last
few. He rode a little bit more positive through that line there. I think we've got to be quite positive. The ground looks like it's getting a bit tacky in the bottom there. Let's hope that the fence judges can keep on top of that, maybe with some sand down. But I think the way forward is to be positive. That's the way Ian Stark always used to ride, so I think that's the way he wants his tracks to be ridden.
He likes a good old few rider frighteners, doesn't he?
Does, yeah, he loves scaring us.
So Hector Payne, Blue Moonshine, great to see this horse out at the highest level again. Had an awful couple of years with injury, and huge credit to Hector's team for getting him back to full fitness.
So just a quick look at
aiming for Bramham in a couple of weeks' time.
19.2 time penalties for Mark Todd, Captain Coleman.
Lovely balance through there, really good 2 strides and 2 lovely jumps over the 2 big wide tables there.
Well, here's Flora Harris Bayano at the Land Rover Stag's Head. And Bayano coming forward on 53.5, so Flora could really put in a strong showing across the country. The current leader, remember, Sarah Ennis, on a score of 50.7.
Well done, Hector, through there. He managed to keep him on a good line.
So close to those branches.
Next to start will be Björn Borna from
It's the first time at Chatsworth for Hector and for Blue Moonshine. This is Hector's 10th CIC 3-star since 2010, so he's still just 25. He has had 67% clear jumping, Gemma, but hasn't yet made the time as a rider in any of his CIC 3-stars.
Give him time, I'm sure he will.
Positive mental attitude.
Absolutely.
Gemma, this isn't a criticism, this is just facts, Gemma.
Flora Harris, Bayano heading towards home. They just have that really tough last combination to go. The SAP ditch, brush and corners. And I have to say, that ditch, horses make it look really easy, but I stood in that ditch earlier this week, and it is
actually a very big fence. Yeah, and then followed by these two really tricky corners going downhill, makes it very high in difficulty.
So our latest starter is Jorn Warner for Germany with Castle King. 47, they did a good dressage, 2 poles down in the show jumping, so 55, their two-phase score coming forward. 24th position that left them, and the clock ticking down from the optimum time of 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Whatever that clock is green, he is within the optimum time. It turns red when over.
This guy looks like he's set out meaning business.
We've got a traditional Irish horse, a traditional Irish sport horse. His grandsire is the prolific Irish sport horse Cruising.
Hector Payne, Blue Moonshine. That distance, Gemma, from the log to the brushes, do you just ride it? Do you know what you want to ride it on, or is it more feeling?
Nicole, I can't count. So
Olympic event rider Gemma Tattersall cannot count.
So honestly, we've just had a run out there. That's that distance causing that again. Yeah, the water gets quite deep over there by that step. He's just got himself in a little bit of a muddle there, unfortunately. He's going to retire.
And he puts his hand up. It's difficult to come back to represent to a fence in the water, isn't it?
Incredibly difficult. You could see he just got a bit unbalanced in the deep water there, and couldn't quite get the canter to get back to that fence. Yes, going back to the counting, I tend to ride as much as I can on feel and not count strides too much. I try and use my eye and sit up and ride my line.
Avoid counting.
Avoid counting, because it normally makes me get in a muddle.
So Hector Payne, Blue Moonshine, home well within their sights now. And this horse still looking really happy in his work, full of running, as away goes our latest starter. And this is David Britnell. David coming forward with the continuity. Comes forward on a two-phase score of 60.2. David delighted to be part of his first Event Rider Masters class, and he's certainly put in a really strong performance so far. We'll have our fingers crossed for him across the country. He's only done the 1 3-star at this level, and that was a 10th place finish at Hartbury. But he's a young man who has certainly impressed anybody who's watched him this weekend.
And he's set out to really mean it. He's set out in the right way, really positive. Flying over fence 3 though, and in a super balance as well with the horse.
So he sets up for the first question on course. And this is the one that we've seen a fairly tricky line in, but he saw a stride.
He really meant it, yeah. I mean, that's how you want to ride, you know. When the ground's getting a bit sticky, you've got to just get in there and kick and be forward thinking, not backward thinking.
Having confidence in your horse, though.
Absolutely, yeah.
Asking a question, them coming up with the answers, and David Britnell, continuity, just adjusting his hat as he heads on down the hill.
Flying.
He is flying, isn't he? Well, that optimum time, remember, of 6 minutes and 10 seconds will keep you up to date with his progress. But Hector Payne and Blue Moonshine, they complete their round, so a good clear jumping across the country for Hector.
Yeah, we just saw him through the Thomas serving a question combination.
He's certainly meaning it.
mind
Well,
getting in there with his arms.
forward over those two big tables for the Northern know-how at 5.
And let's put it like this, I think he was in a serious safety position going over that fence.
Continuity, David Britnell coming to the water.
Keep him straight.
Is this a real indication, Gemma? You were talking about riding the feel of the horse, because that is what he's doing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the horse jumped in not straight there over the first part, but it actually played into his hands because he rode a curving line, which meant that he went on the 4 strides and put him in a good place to jump the triple brush in the middle, and then 4 even strides to the last element. He just jumped that next fence beautifully. He's now in racing position, bum in the air, head down, and he's really meaning it.
Well, Continuity, 13-year-old horse, but only has 1 CIC 3-star under his belt so far. He did jump clear that day, and that came at Hartbury. They didn't make the time, but they were just over it, just 2 seconds over the time. Other than that, they've mainly been at CIC and CCI 2-star level. Gemma, they're clear and inside the time at Hartbury, at Rockingham, and at Barbary in the CIC 2-stars.
This is obviously a fast horse, because to go only 2 seconds over the time at Hartbury, I would say is a pretty good indication that he's a fast horse and a fast rider.
Certainly from visuals as well, he looks like he's...
I'm a big fan of this young rider because he has come up through the levels. This would be very much his top horse. Ooh.
He rode his luck a little bit there, but he sits in such a safety position, slips his reins. He's not afraid of slipping the reins. Therefore, the horse uses its neck as its 5th leg, and it can basically get itself out of trouble.
Well, 60.2, his score coming forward into this final phase of the first leg of the Event Rider Masters. Wherever in the world you're joining us from, we're very pleased to have you with us. Gemma Tattersall, our leader going into the cross-country, joins us in the studio along with Derm Byrne from Echo Ratings. And it's safe to say it's been an eventful morning, hasn't it?
Yes, very. Yes, sorry. The course has been causing real trouble in the other class, and the show jumping in the ARM certainly caused a few problems this morning.
This horse is flying.
The horse just sees the flags and keeps going.
Ears pricked and locks on. So David Britnell, Continuity, 1 minute and 40 to get home. Well, that clock, because he needed 1 minute and 55 to get home from that Stag's Head, so he could be well and truly in touch here. We'll keep an eye on that as our Zimbabwe competitor Camilla Kruger, Biarritz, come out on course, owned by the Shamwari Syndicate. 8 to add from the show jumping to a personal best in the dressage. But Gemma, I think you've got to dash off, is that right, to go and get yourself ready?
I'm going to go and try and focus and get myself ready and try and be the first female to win the RM.
Well,
Gemma, first female to make the time at Chatsworth.
Oh, no.
Lowest finishing score at Chatsworth, Gemma. How much pressure do you want?
She's only little. She's only got little legs. Let's give her a chance. We've got a few seconds to play with. So
you do.
We'll be going as safe and as quick as we possibly can.
Excellent. What we like to hear. Remember those series points that you can build up.
Exactly. That's what we're after.
So David Britnell heading towards home with Continuity. He has 40 seconds to get home, 60.2 his total score, and he's not going to be inside, but he's not a million miles off as he comes to the last real question on course. Gemma, you're going to head off, and we're going to be joined in the studio by Sir Mark Todd.
Still going. Gemma, get out of here, but thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
And best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Gemma. We'll be watching you a little bit later. Well, David Britnell has had the round of his life. He heads on to the last fence. He's going to be a little bit over the time, but what an ERM debut for this young chap. So Biarritz for Zimbabwe with Camilla Kruger. As we see David Britnell jump the last 8 seconds over the time, 3.2 time. And that, I have to say, is the round of this young man's life, because 3.2 time on only his second 3-star start here at Chatsworth is a massive achievement. So we will hopefully be able to catch up with him a little bit later on. as Isabella in his car and Carolyn, they join us out on course. Just the one pole rolled in the show, jumping in 21st place after that second phase, and they're at the early part of their round. But we're delighted to be joined in the studio by Mark Todd, who's already been out on course. I'm not sure whether to ask you about it or not.
Dern will be delighted because his stats will be stacking up well and truly for me. Yeah, my abysmal run of form in the ERM series continues.
I didn't mention it, Mark.
He did. I'll throw you under the bus.
Anyway, at least, you know, I've managed to mess up all 3 phases this time.
Well, confirmation just in for David Britnell. Continuity around in 3.2 time. That is incredible from this young man. And he finishes on a score of 63.4. To sit second at the moment, BLM Diamond Deluxe Sarah Ennis leads the way 56.6.
Well, what a performance from him. I mean, so exciting. He had, was it 1 down, Nicole, and time today? But I mean, he's really, each phase for David, and not a horse that hasn't had many CIC 3-star runs, to be able to pull that out, I think we potentially might be able to see him at another ERM.
I hope so. And Camilla Kruger, Biarritz, safely through the Stag's Head combination. But Bella in his car and Carolyn. And Mark, I'm just going to ask you to talk us through Queen Mary's back, because this is where you had your problem. We've seen others do the same, and it seems to be the distance between the first and the second element.
Well, you know, this is where you should stick to your convictions. Like I'd walked that and said it's 3 strides, and then start talking to people and they say, no, go 4 strides, go 4 strides. And in the end, I got neither. My horse has got a huge stride. I should have just gone in there and ridden for the 3. He would have got it easily. But instead, I was messing around, pulling on the reins, and he said, I can't jump from here, and went out the side. He was very honest to turn and jump it the second time. So I think you'll see both happen. I had a chat to Harry Mead on the way back, and I don't know whether Harry's been yet, has he?
He has, went clear.
Did he do 3? Because he said he was going to.
I think he might well have done, yes.
Yeah. So I think big striding horses, you just be a little bit bold in there, ride for the 3, and should be fine. But I think, you know, as we get nearer the business end, you'll see more and more people pushing to go quickly, and it should all happen fine.
Well, Camilla Kruger for Zimbabwe received one of our developing nations wildcards to compete in leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. Biarritz went clear around the Olympics last year, and she's well on her way home. But Isabella Innes Carr, one of the top young riders on the circuit, she's a former team gold medalist at young rider level on this horse, Carolyn, and on that score of 51, she comes to the ice pond, a real feature fence here at Chatsworth.
And this is another slight distance problem there. From the oxer to the first one there, it walks 5 strides, but if you take the 5, it makes the next between the 2 skinnies, the 3 strides there, very short. So you see most people, I think, riding for the quiet 6 strides going in and then the 3 strides coming out.
It's going to be an interesting one to track Carolyn on the time. She has had some success, a very strong jumping mare. She jumped clear at Burnham Market, she jumped clear at Buccleuch. That was when they started on that great score of 42. But they did pick up time penalties that day, which is what dropped them down to 17th at Buccleuch. 14.4 time penalties in the CCI in the Nations Cup there. At CIC level, Burnham Market, they did pick up 10 penalties as well. Talk to us, Mark.
And there's another distance problem there. Over that log, you want to ride up to get the 5 strides there. She came a little bit hesitant, didn't really get the 5 strides, and the horse says, you don't know what, you haven't made up your mind, so I'll make it up for you. I'm going to go round.
We were talking to Gemma about this distance, actually, and we learned something very interesting, that Gemma Tattersall can't count. But she very much said she's going to jump off there and literally ride by feel. She's not going to...
Yeah, well, I think that's what you've got to do. You've got to jump that and then just ride forward up to those 2 skinny brush.
So this is Lucinda Atkinson, Spring Revolution, making her Event Rider Masters debut. Things didn't go to plan for them in the dressage, 11 to add from the show jumping as well. Looking to put that behind them across the country, and a nice pat down the neck for Spring Revolution. 83.4, the score that they bring forwards. Looking quite strong, Mark.
Yeah. It's a funny course, this, because although it's sort of reasonably on the flat, you're always wanting to turn and you're always asking the horse for a bit of control. So anything that's a bit strong, it makes it that much more difficult because you feel like you're always sort of at them a little bit. You can see here setting up to jump this, and that's been riding pretty well. You just got to make sure that you ask them to jump off that bank to get the 2 strides to the skinny brush coming out.
So our latest starter, Louisa Lockwood, making her Event Rider Masters debut as well, comes forward with Ballyfarris Flight. And this is a horse that's really experienced at championship level, at 4-star level, the highest of the sport. And Louisa completed Poe and just outside the top 10 at Burley on this horse.
Yeah, they were 13th at Burley back in 2014, but also have jumped clear at Badminton, at Bramham back in 2012, and also at Buccleuch back in 2012. 17 CIC 3 stars, 69% jumping clear rate, have never made the time. Average time penalty is 13.5. That's likely to be even more at Chatsworth. Probably won't be inside the time round or even close to the time round, but it should be a clear jumping round. Back with Isabella and Carolyn.
Yeah, well, she looks like she's just going to hack home now, a bit like I did. Most of these horses will have a big competition coming up in the near future, so they'll want to just have that bit of experience and the run under their belt before they go on to something else.
Talk to us about Kiltubrid Rhapsody. You haven't been together that long. Blenheim and Buccleuch under the belt so far.
Yeah, no, he's a fairly new ride for me, and I think last year was a little bit the honeymoon period. We got on very sweetly. Now it's settled down to the business, and we're just sort of coming to terms with each other. And like I say, this weekend we've managed to make silly little mistakes in all 3 phases. He goes to Samur in a couple of weeks, and hopefully we can rectify all that. She got the 3 strides there.
So Ballyfarris Flight clear through Queen Mary Bower. As down at the start is a young man who will be joining us in the commentary box a little bit later on here in the studio, Matthew Heath with the Lion. He's being counted down, 66.1, this horse, safe to say. Dressage wouldn't be his favourite phase. 15 years of age now, and certainly he's had enough time to form his own opinions on it. So Matt out on course next, as Lucinda Atkinson heading towards home. Spring Revolution.
And I don't think Matt will be in a super hurry round here. You know, when you're down in the sort of lower placings, you don't really want to hammer them round the cross country too fast for no reason. But we're going to see a lot faster riding coming up when the prize money starts to come into play.
Well, we have
but
to
a very
ask,
experienced horse here.
We have to ask while we're on it, Mark. We've got Gemma on Quick Look the 5th. We've got Designer 10 Bettina, Bolana Nicola Wilson, Mark Kyle Jamila, and Tom Carlile Upsilon making up the top 5. We know that only 2 people in over 1,200 rides have made the time.
But a late problem, sorry Dome, just to interject, Lucinda Atkinson running into problems at that final corner combination. 20 penalties for her, and looking a little hairy as she goes on to look to complete her round. I think we're just going to get another look at that, Mark. What went wrong?
He's arguing with her a lot, isn't he? He's got his head in the air. He can't even see the fence. So, you know, she said, no, I'm not even going to try and jump it with you. She's got your head stuck in the air. So he's been arguing with her all the way round, really. So it's no real surprise. And she's just telling him now, you've got to listen. So although it's 20 penalties, it wasn't a sort of nasty run out or refusal or anything. It was just one of those things.
They're still clear as they've jumped the Woodhouse roll top at 12.
Ballyfarris Flight, Louisa Lockwood.
Big horse, long stride, gets that 5 strides from the log to the first brush very easily. My horse, I very nearly got 4 strides there. So it all depends, you know, on different horses. Big striding horses find distance really easy. Shorter, smaller striding horses, you have to ride a bit more forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. He gets the 4 very comfortably there. And then the 4 strides out. An economical turn back under the tree.
Did you have to duck extra low to get under those trees?
Yeah, I do sometimes. You know, you've actually got to keep your eye out when you're going for trees, because I have in the past been galloping under a tree and then suddenly you get a whack in the face. So it pays to keep your eyes open.
So Matt Heath, the Lion, clear across the country so far, having a super round.
15 seconds.
And that fence that Matt's just jumped, you've just got to put yourself offline. You've got to twist to the right and then turn back to the left. It's a little bit of a downhill to that officer. So all just putting the horse slightly off balance.
1, go. Good luck.
Well, we are into the top 20. Izzy Taylor, Frog Rock, the first of those to come forward. 48.9. She would have been disappointed with her dressage in the first phase. And she heads out on course now. So Izzy Taylor, what can we expect from this combination, Derm? Because things are starting to get quite exciting.
Well, Izzy, one of Team GB's and actually globally one of the busiest riders in the sport, so she has the experience. Frog Rock comes in at the other side of the scale. Frog Rock, they're coming up to 10 CIC 3 stars next time out. Only 57% jumping clear record. So it's
he's an experienced horse though. Like he was produced by Annabelle Wigley. Yeah. She got him up to 4-star level. He's a New Zealand thoroughbred.
And she's another one to have just slipped in the. What was the footing like down there?
Well, see, down there in that bottom, it's a bit of a valley, and even in these dry conditions, it's got very puggy. And you just saw her trip, the horse trip. And when you're on that turn coming to that, any little mistake like that can put you off.
We're going to get the opportunity to look at that again, and Lizzie did not look happy as she glanced back over her shoulder.
You see there, he's just got lost in that deep ground, couldn't get his footing, and then he's just ended up completely wrong at the fence. Again, you couldn't blame the horse for that.
One interesting thing, Mark, on the line is that his dressage is consistently so far down the order that he does still seem to go for it. Just looking back through that record, even with,
who's this with the line?
This is Matt Heath on the line, yeah. They do still go for the times. They did a 54 at Belton, but just 1.6 over. They did a 60 at Ballindennis, just 2.8 over, and a 78.8 at Barbary last year, but one of the fastest rounds of the day, just 1 second over. They do still seem to make up time, even with the lower down the order in the dressage.
Well, I guess he's just hoping that those in higher places make enough mistakes, and he can capitalise on it.
Some horses take exception if you ask them to run slowly and they're not used to running slowly, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, this is a great opportunity for us to talk about the SAP graphic, because our technology partners, all of our riders wearing GPS tracking devices that enable us to keep track of them throughout their round on the course. And you can just see Matt moving on towards the latter part of his round. So the Lion well on his way home. 20 seconds to get home. He's going to be over that optimum time.
Yeah, no, he's still got this combination to jump and then quite a long gallop down to the last. So. For me, this course here, it's a lovely course, it's a great venue, but it's not a track that you want to sort of use your horses up unless you've got a decent chance of winning some good money, because it's up and down, it's twisty, it can be quite hard on them.
and particularly the time of year where Chatsworth falls. It's the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
there's still
mind you, this is the best ground I've seen at Chatsworth, I think, ever. Normally it's a bit wet here, and when it's wet, it's really sticky.
Well, away goes last year's series champion. He won 2 legs. He was second in the series finale to secure the title as well. It is Oliver Townend for Great Britain. He rides Andrew Cawthoray's Noteworthy 48.5. A couple of poles down in the show jumping, disappointing for him there. But 48.5, Oliver, a fast round could get him some seriously good series leaderboard points.
Yeah, for sure. Ollie's going to leave nothing to spare here. He's one of the most competitive riders on the circuit. He wins an awful lot, and he wins because he's always going out there putting himself in with a chance. So he'll be up to going for a fast round here, and I would say this will be the first one that we truly see, if he goes clear, whether the time's gettable.
Well, I've got an update for you because we saw David Britnell continuity a little bit earlier on, and 2.8 time for David, so he was very, very close.
Yeah, I missed that round.
It looked fast all the way
Just
through.
7 seconds over. Izzy Taylor, Frog Rock, heading towards home, carrying those 20 penalties from a run out at the 4th. As looks to me, Toddy, that Oliver is going for it.
Yep. You can see there, he gets down low, you can see his lower leg clamp onto the horse, and he says, come on, move away from the fences.
The gritty determination of a true Yorkshireman.
Well, Oliver competed at all the Event Rider Masters legs last year. It was really the second part of the series when we saw Blair, Gatcombe and Blenheim, when Kilnabridden, Evo and Oliver really came into their own. They did have that fall at Barbary before that. Noteworthy comes forward today. Again, looking at that record, and we have to be careful because we were beginning to write Kilnabridden Evo off after that fall at Barbary. But looking back on recent form, they had a 20 at Blenheim. They also had a 20 at Barbary and 11 penalties incurred at Bramham. So the only one breaking up those cross-country faults is a clear round in the CIC 2-star at Summerford Park. They're going to have to overcome that form today.
Well, of course, the real questions on this course come in the second half.
This is the first opportunity we've actually had to see that fence, actually, Mark. But the ground really slopes away going into that rail.
It does, but it's got a very kind ground line, so you can actually afford to keep coming to it a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He gets the 6 strides there. Has to ride a little bit for the 3, which is spot on.
That's as good as anyone we've seen through there.
So away goes our first Brazilian. It is Marcio Jorge with Coronel MCJ, a horse.
It's actually pronounced George.
Well, do you know what? I always pronounced him George, and then everybody told me it was Jorge. Were they pulling my leg?
Yeah, well, I didn't. Not in Brazil, he's not Jorge, it's George, Marcio George.
I think I prefer George, if I'm honest. I feel a bit...
That's a big relief, actually.
Yes, it is. Marcio George. And
he's not Mexican, he's Brazilian.
I think somebody was trying to make me look silly. But he did a super test yesterday, just the 1 pole down in the show jumping. And he comes forward on 48.5. Well, that is very, very influential. Oliver Townend, Noteworthy, he was going for the time and he paid the price.
Yeah, the horse just started to looking a little bit tired and just didn't make the distance there and said no thanks, it's easier to go round. Now, this is a great little horse. He's not an extravagant horse, but he tries really, really hard. He's by a thoroughbred sire, Brazilian bred, and Marcio's had him since a very young horse, and he's been a big winner back in Brazil. Not that they have an awful lot of competition there, but he's won a lot.
10. He's done 16 international competitions. He's won 10 of them.
Yeah, he's been great, but you know they probably only have 4 or 5 or 6 in a 3-star at any one time. But this, not taking it, this is a good little horse. This is a very good horse. He can be competitive in the dressage. He's a good jumper and he's fast cross country.
Well, this is our opportunity to see what happened to Oliver Townend, Noteworthy, Mark. Just talk us through this.
That's it. It just he was just a little bit far off that second one, and the horse went to take off, and he said, I'll go to the left.
Yeah. Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing all of that in another Event Rider Masters legs, no doubt. But Marcio George, not making that mistake again, he is flying for Brazil, and it would be brilliant to see the Brazilians feature in the top 10. And you obviously know them very well, Mark. You train the Brazilian team.
Well, I was up to the Rio Olympics, yeah. I've worked with them quite a lot. They're a great bunch of guys. And Marcio, he was a doctor, an anaesthetist. He's been eventing all his life, and eventing is his passion. And he's now moved over here, and he's going to have a crack full time. He's got a nice team of horses. You can see this horse, he's got his ears pricked, he loves it.
Beautifully clear through there. And we'll get a time check for him in just a moment, because he's got 2 minutes and 45 to get home. He needs to be at the ice pond in just a second with 2:35 on the clock. So he's there or thereabouts.
Well, we're going to see a great thoroughbred.
This horse will quicken up these hills too.
We're going to see a great thoroughbred come in a little bit later, who we have a little bit more data and form on, is Solidoon. But certainly, Mark, Marcio's horse, from a breeding point of view, should be one that will be able to push that clock.
And he's also fast, because he's not a strong horse. He doesn't pull, so he doesn't argue, he doesn't fight, and so Marcio can ride fast up to the fences, and the horse is always just listening. He's a very good jumper too. So.
Well, our latest starter, Emily King for Great Britain, with Dargan in 17th place. Well, let's do this clock check, because he needs to be here with 2:35 on the clock. He is down, so he will be picking up time penalties. The time here, as we've said, is really difficult.
Yeah, and there's nowhere that you can actually make up time.
Well, actually, I'm just going to double check that, because he needed to be there in 1:55, so he was only 10 seconds or so down.
Yeah, see, the problem is you've then got these double corners after that fence, and then you've got the twisty bit with the other corners later on, so you can't just gallop for home.
You'd need to be up on your time at that point.
And it's very difficult to be up on your time.
We've seen most go through those... that double there, Mark, on 2 strides, but the odd combination have just chosen to put a curve in and go for 3.
Yeah, I think, it rides very nicely on the 2. You have to angle the first oxer quite a bit, and then angle again over the second one. See, that's what I should have done. Why didn't I kick and ride for 3? Oh, God.
This is quite interesting, actually, because Emily King and Flora Harris both actually fell in that water last year. They both jumped in the first 2 parts beautifully, and they both ran past the 3rd element.
Spooky.
20 penalties last time out for this combination at Burnham Market. They had gone on a good run of clear rounds at the level below, at 2-star level, but their 2 CIC 3 stars for Dargan have both had that issue in the cross-country phase.
Well, Marcio George, Coronel MCJ, kicking towards home. He's got 14 seconds on the clock, and he is motoring, Mark.
Yeah, he's not going to be far off.
He's possibly just going to be a couple of seconds over, but that will certainly see him go to the top of the leaderboard, gets a flyer at the last, and this is going to go into the history books as one of the fastest rounds here at Chatsworth. 1 second over, 0.4 time penalties. We have a new leader.
What's brilliant about this is what we're seeing is someone's coming over here very much under the radar in terms of the horse, and yes, he's 10 wins, but automatically people are saying, well, is that form going to translate? The smaller fields, Brazilian wins, maybe not being taken seriously enough. Each phase there, he's delivered a performance that should be taken seriously.
This is why we encourage these guys to come over here. We said, you're good enough, you can be competitive against the best of the world, your horse is good enough, you ride well enough, and they're coming over here, and it's great to see them doing well.
So Emily King, Dargan, safely clear of the Equitrek Endeavour at 10 A, B and C.
I have to say, I thought this year's track was a little bit softer than it has been in the past, but it's certainly causing its fair share of trouble.
In 18th place before he started cross country.
She got the 5 and the 3 there. That was a brave ride.
Well, this man certainly doesn't go out without a very good shout. Shane Rose for Australia in 15th position as things stand, 47.8. He sits on going into this final phase of the competition. It really is the triathlon of equestrian sport.
He was spot on it. He was so accurate.
Yeah, Shane, you know, he's been a top rider for many years now, and he's come over here the last couple of years and he's just had some rotten luck, and hopefully things will start to pick up and go better for him.
So 47.8 his score coming forward. We're into the top 15 here in leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. Mark Todd in the studio with us, along with Dan Byrne from EquiRatings, giving us all the inside statistics on each of our combinations. But Shane Rose and Virgil, 47.8, 0.4 of a time penalty, remember, for every second over that optimum time. And we've already seen one person go very, very close. That was Marcio George for Brazil. He is our clubhouse leader, 48.5.
It'll be interesting to see if anybody can go quicker than Marcio.
There's a couple of speed.
That's a thoroughbred horse, and he's a fast rider.
There's another grey in the field from Ireland that we'll have to point out. I think Saladoon and Elizabeth Power are potentially up there as ones that, again, that same thoroughbred breeding, ones that we will keep.
The horse wouldn't be as experienced as Marcio, so it'll take all. Is this him off now?
Prepare for Derm to get very overexcited. Here's TM Island all the way.
Okay, Derm. Okay. What's your prediction?
My prediction is that we're going to have the first female rider to make the time at Chatsworth in over, well, a very long time, over 10 years. Over 1,200 runs. It's Astier Quickly de Bugey and Christopher Burton at the ERM last year who actually made the time. Elizabeth Power, standby, Saladoon.
Well, Izib went so well in the Event Rider Masters at Gatcombe, and you can see the SAP meters per minute just ticking up. She is really motoring, nearly 700 meters per minute, and at this level the courses are calculated on 570 meters per minute. Is that right, Mark?
That's right, 570 meters a minute.
And that's average, isn't it?
That's average. I mean, obviously you can't go 570 meters a minute when you're going around a bend like that, so in between you've got to go that much quicker. And as you say, Durham, this is a thoroughbred horse with a big stride, and they're just so much quicker away from their fences, and you can press them that much harder.
You can, but the big thing I suppose to mention is that you're not pressing the horse outside of their comfort zone. With just the type of horse this is, they find it a lot easier to get up to those top speeds.
It's a bit like driving a Ferrari compared to a diesel tractor sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
They have a much higher cruising speed.
And when we go back, for our new audience, when we go back to the 3 phases of eventing, we look at a horse in this phase with this type of breeding who is that Ferrari in the cross country. It helps them to be able to get up to the top speed, but it's more difficult for them to pick up the marks in the dressage phase, where traditionally they're not as expressive as some of the warm bloods or some of the, perhaps, you know, the French horses that may be easier to pick up points in that phase. What Izip delivered here yesterday at 47.8, a big personal best, and then they jumped clear in the show jumping. She's put herself into a wonderful position to be able to take advantage of her trump card, which is speed in the cross-country phase.
So far, she's certainly going very well, and certainly looks quick.
Well, Shane Rose and Virgil. The horse really looking to have tired there.
He is, which is
He's just
quite
switched off on him,
surprising.
hasn't he?
He's still jumping very well, but he's just got a little bit laboured in his movement. And Shane's not pressuring him, he's just letting him get home.
I have some breaking news. We're still trying to get a settled score on it. We're still waiting to see, but it looks like potentially Marcio George has made the time. Marcio Jorge for you, Nicole. He potentially is going to come in as in the top 15 finishing scores in Chatsworth history.
Is it Power? Can she do it? Solar Dune does not waste a second through the combination at 10. Ears pricked, and he just continues to gallop this horse. He just absolutely loves it. And she was so close to the time at Gatcombe. One of the fastest of the day. We'll get a time clock for her. She's leaving the ice pond at 2:45 on the clock to get home. She needs 2:30, so she is on target. She is ahead of time. Will this be the first female rider to go inside the time here at Chatsworth? Well, we'll have to wait and see. As away goes our sole Japanese representative, Yoshiaki Iowa, with Kaya 44. Great test from Yoshi, 42.9. Just the one pole down, show jumping, 46.9.
And isn't it great that over here we have all these different nationalities competing? We've got Japan, we've got Brazil, Ireland.
We got Australia.
Australia and New Zealand.
You were going to mention them, were you? But it just shows the real global nature of the sport. It's what's so special about the sport.
Yeah.
We got men against women in the same class. We've got so many different nations represented, so many stories. This rider that's coming here now, Yoshi, tell us, last week, Nicole, one of the best badminton finishing scores?
Yeah, he broke his own record for the best Japanese placing at badminton. He was 11th back in 2005 even, and he was 8th last week. And we've talked a lot, Mark, about confidence. And there's a number of riders in the field like Yoshi who will be full of it.
Yeah, no, he had a great ride around badminton. Now, I watched his round. And I'm not sure I would have liked to have gone at the speed he was going at some of the jumps, but he kept going, and as you say, he's just riding full of confidence, and it's great to see. And it's great to see countries like Japan, especially with the Olympics coming up in Tokyo. Angela Tucker has done a huge amount for the Japanese team, and Yoshi's been training in Germany. And you're not paying attention, Derm.
I am. I'm trying to concentrate on if Marcio's gone inside the time or not. We're still waiting on this confirmation, but never mind Marcio right now, because we're looking at another great thoroughbred, but from an even better country. Ireland, Elizabeth Power is on track to do this.
She is flying home.
Yeah.
So will Elizabeth Power Solar Dune become the first combination to go inside the time, the first female rider? We think we have one inside the time. Will we get our second? This is huge, because only 2 combinations have made the time in over 1,200 runs. She steeplechases the last, and that was easily done.
Well done, is it?
Are you happy, Derb?
Oh, I mean, she hasn't just made the time.
She has absolutely blitzed it. When you think how difficult this track has proven for so long, we called this very early that we were going to have a climber. We needed her to deliver, particularly in the phase this morning, to get that clear show jumping around. We're going to have Irish on the podium. Will Mark Kyle be there? I expect she'll be there.
I tell you what, I don't want to take. Ooh, that was a bit rough. I think we're going to see more inside the time. When I first walked the course, I thought it looks much more like a galloping track, more galloping than we've had before. If you're brave enough to keep coming at the jumps, and if you're brave enough to trust them at the finish over those twisty bits, I think we could see a few inside the time. But Izib's in a strong position now. She's got a score. She's finished on, what's she finished on? 47.8.
47.8.
So that's going to put pressure on the others, and we all know what pressure does to people. It can cause them to make mistakes. So we're setting up for a really good finish here.
They're going to be going. 47.8 is going to be very I'm just looking at the best finishing scores of all time at Chatsworth. Gemma Tattersall in quick look went in for 47.1, and that was in the previous
Here
record.
we have another fast rider and another fast grey.
Yep.
It might be the grey's day today.
Tell people that's in the start of the week, but if you
it
say
wasn't my grey's
maybe
day
they will
today.
go again. Victoria, Burra Pennies, a hugely popular combination in the sport. Result at London. They haven't been out as much in the last couple of years, but they're back.
No, she's had a few most popular horses on the circuit. She's just the most exuberant and clever little jumper, and with lots of scoping. Watch her front legs. She just snaps them up out of the way. Drops her neck over the fences. She must give you a great feel when you're riding.
So Yoshiaki, Iowa at the Land Rover Stag's Head. Clear through there for Japan. Every continent represented except Antarctica.
We're getting messages at the same time in from
weekend.
America. Josh
we can't
Autry.
wipe the smile off Derm's face here.
He's a very happy man. No. He's going to dine out on an Irish lady clear inside the time for a very long time.
I just needed things to go right. I told everyone still on a jump clear today. Finally, Elizabeth delivers for me.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I told everyone Leonid has to jump clear as well at badminton.
Yeah.
He did, Mark.
So you're the kiss of death.
He's stuck faithful. So Yoshiaki, Iowa heading towards home, but we are well inside the top 15 here. We're approaching the top 10, and it is certainly becoming influential. Borough Penny's one of the fastest horses in the field.
And just look how neat she was through that. I just love watching this mare. Those knees are up under her chin.
Well, this pair have been clear inside the time at badminton back in 2013, clear inside the time at the London Olympics, clear inside the time at the Europeans in Malmo, and they're on track with a good fast round today.
She is 2 seconds up on the clock. She needed to be jumping at that final fish in the water at 2 minutes and 30 left on the clock. She had 2:32, and in fact she can afford to be 2 seconds over the optimum time to go ahead of Elizabeth Power. Well, shots of the podium in the background because our rider's sitting there at the moment. Elizabeth making the most of it while it lasts. For Ireland, she's been on the podium here before, finished in 3rd place at Gatcombe in the 4th leg of the Event Rider Masters last year.
And she sat on the podium that day for a very long time.
She did.
It was a similar situation. That time was very difficult at Gatcombe, and a horse that makes the time can actually keep you on the podium. I have confirmation it's the 10th best finishing score in Chatsworth history. If you're going to get above Elizabeth on the podium today, you're going into the top 10 all-time finishing scores at this venue.
Here we have another Brazilian, Carlos Paro.
Also involved in the
There's another horse that's had a bit of time off, but very capable. And Carlos, a very capable rider.
Calcourt Landline, great clear round in the show jumping. He was one of those that moved up the leaderboard with that clear round. He comes forward to the cross country in 13th position. We think he may well have moved up to 12th. Pippa Funnel withdrew. Sam Mann, he had that uncharacteristic rail down. So Carlos all to play for, but he was 25th after the first phase. That shows us just how much the leaderboard has shuffled already in the jumping phases, and we're certainly seeing more of the same here this afternoon across the country.
Well, his fellow countryman and great friend Marcio George has finished inside the time, so Carlos will be wanting to not let him go ahead of him.
I was going to say, do you think they'll have had a quick chat?
May well have, yeah. But he'll know that Marcio is inside the time or very close to it. So.
And Marcio will tell him it was easy and not to worry about it.
I know there's a lot of people in Brazil who tune in and watch this, so hello to everyone my friends back there in Brazil. Great that you guys are doing so well over here.
Well, this is interesting actually because Vittoria Panizon, Borough Penny, she's just lost time at the last part of the course. The mare looks like she's getting a little bit strong. She is going to be pushed to get home inside the time. She's got 5 seconds on the clock. She's still got the last to go, and she can only afford to be 2 seconds over. Otherwise, Elizabeth Power will stay on the top spot, and Elizabeth is not going to be dethroned. A great round across the country from Borough Penny's 51.3. So she goes behind Elizabeth Power, and she goes behind Marcio George.
And I think that comes down to the thoroughbred power again. You know, Borough Penny's edge. She's not thoroughbred. And around this course with the twists and turns and up and down the hills, she was just starting to look a little bit tired at the end. Whereas the thoroughbreds are just sprinting to the finish.
Well, away goes a young lady for Great Britain. Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo, a really unfortunate pole in the show jumping. So 45.1 she brings forward in 11th position. Coming into this final phase.
Of course, Piggy just coming back after having a baby and starting to get very competitive again, and she'll be wanting to have a good quick round here. One of the most stylish lady cross-country riders there is.
Will be
very, very competent.
Motors badminton champion. This is Andrew Nicholson.
Come on, Carlos, put your foot down.
Well, he's down on the clock. 1 minute and 30 to get home. He would need 1 minute and 47 from that third element there. Well, Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo for Great Britain. Piggy can be 6 seconds over the optimum time and still go ahead of Elizabeth Power. But this is where we're seeing that fast time across the country, because 6 seconds, Mark, is really not a lot.
It's not a lot, and you know, it's so easy to lose just a couple of seconds at every fence. She rode that well. She got the 3 strides there.
The winner of the Barbary number of six back-to-back, leading to when it was the Event Rider Masters leg last July. And Andrew told me, of course, he hadn't won badminton before because he wanted to wait until the first prize was £100,000. Castle landline is over 16, the Derbyshire Light Brush.
So Carlos Parry, Calcourt landline, 45.9 for them. We'll just see him home with you, Mark, before you're going to have to dash off. And we're going to welcome Matt Heath into the studio. But he's not going to be inside the time.
No, you know, this horse, as I said, he's just come back from an injury, so he's probably not quite ready to really put them to the test yet. But
you'll be pretty proud of the Brazilians, though?
Yeah, no, they're doing really well. And he's not going to be that far off. Probably about 10 or 15 seconds over.
Well, Elizabeth Power 47.8. So I have a feeling that Calcourt landline will have just snuck in behind Izzy. We'll get confirmation of his time in just a moment. But Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo, things still going well for her. Let's get an update on her time across the country. She's got 2 minutes and 35 left on the clock going to the ice pond. And she is, in fact, dot on time. She needs 2 minutes and 35 to get home. We've talked about it being hard to make up time at the latter part of the course, though, and she's going to need to put her foot down.
Piggy is on Quarry Crest Echo. They are pretty much always bang on the time. It didn't go as well with Tina. They didn't get that many cross-country rounds under their belt while Piggy was away. But Piggy took back over the reins for Belton. That was just 1 second over. So they finished in the top 3 at Belton very recently. Now, Nicole, the national form, I know they did have a 20 penalties at Kelsall recently, so they're going to have to overcome that as well, that recent form. But Piggy very much back and excited, and you know, it's great to see her there. Will she be able to keep inside that? Even how long has she got? How many seconds can she be over?
She's 5 seconds over. She's 5 seconds down at that time check, so she's going to need to put her foot down. Well, Andrew Nicholson and Swallow Springs, they're going well across the country as we see Vittoria Panizon taking her place on the podium for Italy. It would be great to see Italy featuring on the podium here at the Event Rider Masters. We've 11 nations represented, and it really is an international top 3 as things stand at the moment.
Just watching Andrew come into the water, and you spoke about confidence earlier. Well, here's a man who's certainly going to be full of confidence at the moment. I mean, fantastic result for him at badminton. It kind of gives a bit of hope to all of us, really. I think you can keep going for a long time.
Matt Heath joining us in the studio, and what a time to join us, Matt, because it is getting very, very close. We're into the top 10 now. Swallow Springs, Andrew Nicholson in 9th position coming out on course, and this just a 9-year-old.
Yeah, and I've spoken to Andrew about this horse a couple of times, and he thinks the absolute world of him, so I'm sure that he's a hugely competitive man, as we're all aware, and I'm sure that he'll be having a real good go.
Well, back with Piggy. Can she sneak back onto that podium? She's in position to do so if she can stay inside the time. How's that time looking, Nicole? We're counting down.
Well, she's not going to do it. She can be 6 seconds over. She's just wasted a little bit of time there on the turn, but she's got to play things safe. And she's not going to be home in 8 seconds. So Elizabeth Power still out in front, 47.8. And when the clock goes red, the seconds will tick up. Piggy, 6 seconds in hand. So she's going to go over that score of Elizabeth Power. It'll just be a case of whether she can still sit in front of Vittoria Panizon and Borough Penny. So I don't think she's done quite enough, but brilliant to see piggyback, and she'll no doubt be ruining that pole down in the show jumping.
Yeah, absolutely. In a cross-country round, you know, the horse just towards the end looked as though he was just starting to get a little bit tired, and then he got a bit keen as he did that. So she was having to set him up a bit. Andrew through the water there, he had to make a very quick decision to add a stride in between those two elements, and managed to do it really tidily.
So Sarah Cohen and Treason for Great Britain, they go away on course 44.2, the same score as Andrew. Now, should they both go inside the time, then the person that is closest to the optimum time will be in front on the leaderboard. But at this level, as we've seen, just two combinations inside, we're likely to see them separated by that time.
Well, the podium hasn't moved, as you said, Nicole. Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo, 51.1 they're coming in on. So the podium stays as is. Elizabeth Power, Solidoon leads. Marcio George, Colonel MCJ. I'm coming, Nicole, to Swallow Springs. You know I love him, but is he? Do you think he can get inside the time?
He is on target. Andrew Nicholson on target to go inside the time. We'll be watching his time closely. He hasn't got much to spare. So Sarah Cohen and Treason through on the two strides there, Matt. That's definitely been the preferred option.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, you know, if you want to be competitive, you can't really break them up that way early on and waste time trying to add the three. And she certainly was very positive through there. This horse got a massive stride as well, so I think you might see her have to make a real decision here as to whether she's on the 3 or the 4. She did that really well. She gave herself a bit of room going in, a bit of time, and made the 4 really, really nicely. Yeah.
Well, we've got shots of Is It Power. She was a long time on the podium. She's just trying to spot Andrew Nicholson, I think, in the distance, because he is heading towards home, and he can be 8 seconds over the time and still go ahead of Elizabeth Power. We'll hopefully have a shot of him. Here he comes towards home. Now that, to me, he's got 35 seconds. He needs about 30 from this ditch parallel. He's there or thereabouts.
I think he's as close as he needs to be. This is a horse with a huge amount of gallop, and he'll just look to get through this combination and then press towards the last. Super, absolutely super. Looked like he had all the time in the world there. You know, we've seen other riders, including myself, having to pull around to try and get through those, and you know, he just looks like he's got all the time in the world.
Well, he's got 8 seconds. He's going to be tight, you know. He's got the last to jump.
I think he'll be a couple of seconds over, won't he?
But he can still go ahead of Elizabeth Power. It comes up very close. 2 seconds over. On a score of 45. Well, that is the score on which Astier Nicolas, Piaf de Bonneville, won here 12 months ago.
A score of 45 does not beat his score of 2013. Viscount George, that was the 44.9 that set the record here. But what it is showing you, Swallow Springs, that 9-year-old, what we are seeing there is form coming through from the Blenheim 8 and 9-year-old class.
Absolutely, and these young horses are really coming to the fore in this class. And you mentioned I know you love an 8-year-old. There was a few last year that really got very competitive.
Well, away goes Francis Whittington, hasty in 43.8 in 8th place. That great clear round in the show jumping, pulling them up the order after the dressage. And they were one of the climbers. They were copybook in the show jumping, and another just to stumble a little bit there.
My horse had a little bit of a false step through there. It's just got a little bit wet through there, and they do just almost slip off the bank. His horse, you know, had that slip but then stayed very straight. It was great.
Well, there is confirmation, Andrew Nicholson, and actually we'll get a confirmation on that time, because 44.6 for Andrew Nicholson, Swallow Springs, and we'll double check that for you. Regardless of it, he is over at the top of the podium very shortly. Elizabeth Powell will be relegated into second.
Francis here, he had a good result in one of the other sections actually today, so he'll be full of confidence as well. So he's hugely competitive.
Do you want a stat? A Francis stat?
Yeah, go on.
Well, 60 CIC 3 stars for Francis over the last 7 seasons. This is his first time to come to Chatsworth.
Really? And it's a course that actually you feel like you want to get to know to go quickly around. So it'd be interesting to see how quick he is.
I have something for you, Derm.
He hasn't broken his own finishing score record, has he?
Yes, he has. His time has been revised, round with just 0.4 of a time penalty, 44.6. Andrew Nicholson, our leader, it is confirmed.
He hasn't made the time.
Francis went round that one there, yeah. He's ended up picking up 20 penalties coming out the water. The horse actually put in a real short jump over the triple brush, and then he struggled to make the distance up to that last element at the water. He's come round and he's done the long route there sensibly, and I think you'll see him nurse this horse home now and give him some confidence. I don't think you'll see him pressing on from here on in. He'll just look to get his confidence and save him for another day.
Well, Sarah Cohen is heading towards home, and she has 15 seconds to get home.
She's
she
quick.
can go ahead of Andrew Nicholson. She's in 9th coming into this final phase. Treason still looking full of running. She cannot afford to be over the time. I think she might just. She's taken a pull. Playing safe, very sensibly, a couple of seconds over, still a very quick round. 3 seconds over, she goes behind. Andrew Nicholson pushes Izzy Power down to 3rd on the podium.
He's obsessed there. I think she knew going to the last that she was going to have to move down another slot on the podium.
And there's still a few more to come. We still have Bill Levitt, Roz Cantor, Tom Carlile, another Irishman, Mark Kyle. Bill Levitt on course now, but there's still plenty that could push her down, even with... Let's talk about this. Can we mention it once more? We're seeing horses struggling to make the time with some of the best riders in the world. Solodoon was 21 seconds inside the time. 21!
That's pretty unbelievable. I think she'll be looking forward to get to Burley on a horse like that.
Exactly.
I quite fancy her chances for Stragom.
Absolutely, yeah, very good point, yeah.
Those European Championships.
Yeah.
Well, Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, this combination that finished 4th in the Event Rider Masters' second leg at Bramham last year. Well, just seeing at the top spot of the podium, Andrew Nicholson taking great pleasure in relegating Izzy Power down into 2nd. She's not going to be there for very long. She'll be pushed off another place very shortly when Sarah Cohen arrives. But Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan.
Bill looks very positive down through that section of the course. I think that he's certainly going to be, he's a hugely competitive person, and I think that he'll be trying to get his own little seat on the podium in a minute.
And Bill Levitt just setting up here for the
Well, brilliant to announce that Monarch will have very kindly donated to the owner of the winning horse for every leg at the Event Rider Masters a stay at their hotel over in Ireland, and then for the owner of the series winner, there will be a suite in the executive suite, it should be said, during the Monarch sale at the end of 2017. So that is brilliant news. Great to see the owners being rewarded as well. And Bill Levitt, I imagine, gave his owners a bit of a hairy moment.
Yeah, he certainly did. He was a little bit indecisive between the 1st and 2nd element in the water, and then consequently that meant that, it was a little bit tricky to the last part. But the horse stayed very straight. Bill stayed right behind him. Oh, Francis' horse very sticky there as well. He just poked in a second half stride in that 1 stride distance. I should think he'll be looking forward to getting him home now.
So the top 3 as things stand at the moment. Andrew Nicholson, Swallow Springs out in front, 44.6. Treason, Sarah Cohen in 2nd on 45. Is It Power for Ireland, 47.8. Andrew's already won one Event Rider Masters leg, and he'll be looking to add another to Barbary that he took last year. Francis Whittington just hacking home with Hasty Imp now. He's not going to challenge for the time. Looks like they've got that 20 penalties from Queen Mary Bower, so out of contention for Francis.
Bill just come into the rail ditch triple brush there, and super job through there. You just have to wait as you come out the ditch, because the triple brush comes up really quickly after that. You've just run quite steep downhill to it. The camera doesn't actually show how steep the run down to that fence is. Making sure here at the water. Yeah, he made a good decision and made sure he got the right distance. Super through there, textbook.
Well, Bill can be 2 seconds over the time and go ahead of Andrew Nicholson, but he is down on the clock, leaving the water. He's about 8 seconds down. He's going to need to put his foot down as away goes for Great Britain. Ros Cantor, she was best of the Brits just a week ago at Badminton. She comes forward with Zen Shearer. A fantastic dressage, blew everyone away with that 38.7. 1 pole down in the show jumping, and 42.7 her score coming forwards.
And she's a rider who's been, hugely successful, kind of coming through the grades in the last couple of years, and has been on everybody's radar, I think, to do something like she did at Badminton. She produces her horses absolutely beautifully. Oh, Bill's horse got a little bit low at the first one of those brushes, but again, he stayed really tall and stayed in great position, and you wouldn't have, if you just watched Bill's position, you wouldn't have known the horse even hit the fence.
World Young Horse Championships at Lyon Danger as well.
Well, Ros Cantor can afford 1.6 time penalties to go ahead
of
Andrew Nicholson. That's
sadly 20 penalties,
4 seconds
the jumping
that
penalties,
she can go ahead of the time as Sarah
gives him a score
Cohen
of
takes her
85,
spot on the
and that
podium.
takes
Great to see her kids with her. Having a chat to Andrew Nicholson, who's reigning supreme. He's enjoying that on the top spot, isn't he?
Yeah, he loves it up there, I think, and I think he really, if I remember from Barbary, he certainly drowned everyone with the champagne. I think he enjoys that as much as anything else.
Well, Barbary was a special moment when we saw that his first Event Rider Masters win in the series. Last weekend at Badminton was a special moment. He was top of the podium there again.
I've never seen so many grown men cry.
Were you included, Matt?
Yeah, I had my sunglasses on, I'm not going to lie.
I was crying because I've been telling everyone Hale-Bopp was going to win all week.
So Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, they're over the time, and they will be taken out of contention for the top of the leaderboard.
This is very similar to what happened at Blair. We've been waiting for Shannondale Titan to put it all together.
Oh, that's a real shame for Bill. Great to see.
That was very odd there. It seemed like he just didn't take off at the fence. I would say probably just got a little bit tired, and hopefully he'll be all right.
Well, we'll get an update on Bill as soon as we can. Well, Shannondale Titan
I can see him in the back of the screen
is up on his feet.
Yeah.
He's making a bid back to the stables. Well, we'll get confirmation on Bill, but he will be checked out by the medics we have here. Great team in place. And just chance for us to have a look at that leaderboard, because Ros Cantor, Zen Shearer, they're out on course as things stand at the moment. Ros can afford to be 4 seconds out on time to put Andrew Nicholson down into second. He's our current leader, 44.6.
Ros pulled out a huge PB on Zen Shearer. She show jumped. She'd one down in the show jumping, but that low dressage score means that they're still coming very late in the order. Now,
she did well there.
She's down on the clock. She is very much down on the clock. She's some 15 seconds down.
Looking at the way he's galloped away from there, I would say that she's going to struggle to make any time up from there. He just looked a little bit slow in his gallop going up the hill there. You mentioned the blood horses earlier. I said, when you drop the reins at the bottom of a hill, they just attack it and eat the hill, and that makes a huge difference.
Well, let's have a look at that leaderboard. Andrew Nicholson, Swallow Springs, 44.6. A beautiful clear round from Andrew, just 0.4 of a penalty over the time. Sarah Cohen and Treason, and they're sitting in second. Elizabeth Power, 3 Nations in the top 3. Soladoon, a great round from them, the fastest of the day, and she absolutely obliterated that optimum time. I know you're fairly happy about that, aren't you, Derm?
Fairly happy is a word. Yeah, that's
fairly
that's,
happy
we'll
is a bit of an
understatement.
Fairly happy. More like ecstatic. Ros Cantor heading towards home, and she goes on to the last, or the second to last real question, the launch at 15 A, B and C.
I think she gets the corners first, yeah, so she's got those 2 rustic corners to get through first, but she's giving this horse a super ride round, giving him no end of confidence, so I think she'll be very happy. I know she's going to be over the time, but I think speaking to her afterwards, she'll probably be very positive.
And it's not a horse that makes the time, So again, we got to concentrate on this idea of the triathlon. Each of them having, horses having different strengths in each phase.
Absolutely.
6.8 time penalties, but they jump clear at Belton. 11.6 time penalties, but they jump clear at Mill Street. It's a pattern that goes throughout their record. Very good jumping, but they do add time penalties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, down in the thick of it is Alice.
Well, here at the podium, it's certainly building up. Isab has set the fastest time. You were gutted, in fact, that they didn't make the time a bit tighter. 15 seconds inside.
I know. It pretty wasn't a speed test today. No, the horse is incredibly fast, but I'm a bit embarrassed that I was so fast, but at the same time, it felt very smooth and very good, and he was just on his job today.
He was trained by Alan King when he raced. The Retraining a Racehorses programme produces horses like him, but you were doing an amazing job on him. We knew you were going to be a climber. Let's hope you can stay on the podium.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's move across to Sarah. Sarah, we got the kids here. Hi, guys. Didn't Mum do well?
Yes.
She was brilliant, wasn't she? Great ride.
Yeah, he gave me an awesome ride. I had one of those horrible shots to the first where you just have to wait. And I was like, oh, come on, get your bum in gear. And actually, then we just got going and he gave me a fantastic ride.
I like that technical term, get your bum in gear. But you certainly did. And as the course developed, the speed increased.
Yeah, he's a big horse. He perhaps wouldn't be the fastest as in sprinter, but he gets into a big galloping rhythm and he's got a huge stride. So, yeah, I just have to try and get in that rhythm and keep going.
Well, you're amazing. Just the one horse. Andrew Nicholson, the man of the moment, certainly got more than one horse in his team, but this is a real rising star. What a beautiful round.
Yeah, he's a lovely horse to ride. He's very intelligent. He can be a little cheeky sometimes, but he's a good galloper. I can open and close his stride very, very easily, and he's young, but he's class, and that's what you need, isn't it?
You didn't quite make the time. I know you'll say you weren't trying. That was what you were going for. But it's tight out there.
Yeah, it's tight, and yeah, you've got to come out of the gates and go from the start. Isab there makes us all look like plotters, but she's very smooth and very quick at it, and you got to start fast and keep it up all the way.
And Andrew, can you hold this pole position?
I think Gemma and a couple of those others, they can lob around, can't they, and kick me off my chair.
Not quite. 5 to go, Andrew. Listen, best of luck.
Thanks.
Well, away from the start, they were our dressage leaders. They had that really unfortunate refusal in the show jumping. They were on course for a clear round, but Thomas Carlyle and Upsilon just picking up 5 to add from their show jumping. Still in 5th though, and they can actually be 5 seconds over the time and still go ahead of Andrew Nicholson.
Well, write them off at your peril, Nicole. Tom Carlyle and Upsilon have finished 1st or 2nd in 8 of their 11 international runs. They've never been outside the top 5. It's going to take something special for them to be outside the top 5 today. I don't want to say anything positive in case I curse them, but another grey on course. We've seen some big performances from the greys already. Swallow Spring sitting on top of the podium. Solidoon is still on the podium. Vittoria Burra Pennies aren't far behind. It's a day for the greys, as we've said all along, and Tom Carlyle and Upsilon are on course.
I don't think Thomas will want you to say anything positive either, to be fair, after you cursed him earlier. He'd be quite happy for you to keep quiet.
I can't believe I get blamed so much for cursing things. I have no control, as you all know.
Well, Ros Cantor, Zen Shearer just coming towards the end of their round. There was just a short holdout on course while Bill was just checked out by the medics and Ros. The horse just actually looks to have regained his breath.
I was just about to say that, yeah. I think that, and she rode through that line as good as anyone, and she's given him a bit of a squeeze going away to try and be as competitive as possible. Sometimes horses like that having a hold, can really help.
So Tom Carlyle, Upsilon, I think one of my favourites on the circuit, because he is so talented in all of the phases, this horse. He was brilliant around Gatcombe last year. He finished 2nd in his first Event Rider Masters leg, and then he was superb at Blenheim to take the series finale. He stopped the Town End train, which was rolling on through, and stopped Oliver taking the hat-trick of wins. So he was last out on course on that occasion. The reverse order that we go across the country in the Event Rider Masters series means that it is not over until the last horse has crossed the line.
What I would say, Nicole, is that they were fast at Blenheim. Just 2.4 time penalties there, as you mentioned. That was a great round, but there is time penalties on the clock. Gatcombe, they picked up time penalties. Samure, they picked up time penalties, 4.4, and another 4.4 at Belton in 2015. They could very well add to their score here. Don't presume that they won't. This isn't a horse that is showing us speed ratings in the same league. as Saladoon or as Marcio's thoroughbred would have shown us either.
But he's also one that Tom is very much keeping for the future. He's only 9 years of age.
I agree, Nicole. I agree, but we have to see them push the button at some point so that we know what's in there. I do think they pushed the button last year at Blenheim when they were going for the win. We saw it, but it was still 2.4. It was a hard. I'll give you. It was a hard place to make
Only
the time.
2 people made the time.
Yeah, no, agreed. But all I'm trying to say is, don't be surprised with 5-6 time penalties here. That's kind of where they are. This is a show jumping specialist, and as we saw yesterday, a dressage specialist as well.
I think that he's giving this horse a really smooth ride round, but he doesn't look to be hassling him too much. He's such a lovely horse to watch go cross country. He's always got his ears pricked, looking for the next fence. I should think he's an absolute pleasure to ride. Yeah, that was super through there. He was really positive to that second element. Really good.
15 seconds. 10
Mark Kyle just getting counted down now. He's a hugely experienced cross-country rider and one of my favourites to watch. He's one of those riders that always seems to make everything look very easy. He'll be looking to be pretty positive around here, I'd have thought. Just getting the stats now.
The stats are ready. Well, we had Mark in earlier, which was great. He gave us our first little run through on the cross-country preview. Let's just keep an eye on Tom Carlyle.
Yeah, I think he's actually looks like he's stepping it up a little bit now as well. Yeah.
He is back to another Irishman. Have we still got an Irish on the podium? Isn't she? She's still on the podium. Saladoon, Elizabeth Power still on the podium. We have Jamila now on course. We're starting to put together a bit of a team ahead of Stragom. Don't forget what Jonty did at badminton last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonty's performance is fantastic, and I'm sure that his day will come when he's chucking the champagne about very soon.
Oh, I expect so. And there's lots more, just in case you're wondering out there. We've Sam Watson, Camilla Spears, Cathal Daniels. We've a whole lineup ready to go to the Europeans. But let's get back to Mark Kyle. Jamila's putting in a big bid here for those Europeans this summer.
Fantastic through there. The horse slips as similar to some of the others have done, but he just kept the balance so much better than perhaps some of the others, and you wouldn't really notice. This horse is still galloping home. I don't know, we haven't got a clock on him yet, but I would say he's been pretty positive. How many seconds could he have?
5.
5 seconds. We'll give you an update on that time as soon as we can. 2.4 time at Blenheim last year, and it was a similar finish to this. It was when he won the last leg of the Event Rider Master Series 2016. He's opened up his account very strongly here.
Well, he can be 5 seconds over and go ahead of Andrew Nicholson. And Tom Carlyle, actually, he was quite coy yesterday when Alice spoke to him, because he played down that he might not really go across the country, but he's not hung around at all.
Absolutely not. Certainly from watching, I didn't think so. And he was quick and smooth through that last combination, is pressed on to the last.
Mark Kyle, Jamila. This is a combination that can be 6 seconds over the time and go ahead of Andrew as things stand at the moment without Tom's time in.
3 and 3 through that water there. We've seen the 3 and the 4, and we've seen the
Upsilon and Thomas
4
Carlyle
and the 3, but I don't think I've seen anything go through there on the 3 and the 3.
Well, this is Upsilon finishing. Great to see him finishing full of running. Super jump at the last, and we'll get a time for him as soon as possible. Time just in for Ros Canters and Shearer. They had that short hold out on course. That's been calculated 5.2 time. So Ros, she'll finish in the top 10, 47.9. Great score for her. Well, we'll get that confirmed time for Tom Carlyle and Upsilon as soon as we can. But Mark Kyle, Jamila out on course all by themselves at the moment. And another combination. We had Mark in the commentary box a little bit earlier on, and he was certainly, I think, had a little steely determination in him.
Absolutely. I think Ros will be actually really pleased with that time, because I think the hold probably helped her horse fill up a little bit, and she looked like she could press on from the hold home, which perhaps she might not have been able to do without the little rest. So I think that might have actually benefited her.
Oh, I'd agree. It didn't look like as fast around as that time suggests up until that finish. They looked to be slowing down.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need that little bit of luck, which can sometimes come on course. Mark Kyle and Jamila.
They're on time, Derm.
They're on time.
He has time to get home. 2 minutes and 30 he needed, leaving the ice pond. He is on target.
Okay, everybody relax. He's on target, but the record would suggest it's going to be very difficult for this 11-year-old mare to get inside the time. That's not just because it's a difficult course, but they do have time penalties on their record.
Good luck.
She's a big mare, though, and he's produced her really well, and I think you'll find that she'll get quicker as her continues through her career.
Breaking news just in. The live scores showing Upsilon 6 seconds inside the time to the top of the podium.
Yes,
He's
Upsilon.
won in the Event Rider Masters Series last year. He's been second before. Can he hold on here in 2017?
Whoa, hang on. Have I got a full podium of greys? I've Swallow Springs, I've Upsilon. Solidoon's going to be pushed down.
Treason. Upsetting the job.
Well, we called this very early on Friday morning. We said, could we have a podium of greys? Don't forget, the main one is still to come. The leader, quick look to 5th, Gemma Tattersall. She could add to that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Nicola Wilson, a CIC specialist. She's already had 100 CIC 3-star runs in the last 6 seasons. Here she is with B'Elanna.
Well, we are about to see Andrew Nicholson being knocked off the podium. He won't like that one bit.
Not at all.
Thomas Carlyle for France. He goes into the lead. And Andrew not happy, but all good-natured.
Yeah, playing to the crowd. Absolutely.
Tom
Super.
Carlyle, Upsilon. They're in the lead here at leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters, but Nicola Wilson out on course is motoring
Yeah, she
with
flew
B'Elanna.
down that hill. Absolutely flew. This is quite a fast mare, I think, Derm, isn't she?
She's feisty.
Yeah.
She can get quite tricky to hold.
Sometimes that really, you can see that there. She's often just put her head to the outside to take her eye off the fence so that she can just get a little bit of control.
That's what that means as a rider. So we talked earlier to Gemma about rhythm in the cross country, and that's how that speed is made. You're not necessarily pushing a horse to go as fast as they can. Getting inside the time comes from rhythm. Tell us what you're seeing with B'Elanna when you're having to steady a mare like that.
When she gets that keen and that excited, and I said about Nicola putting the head to the outside, and we do that just to try and get a little bit of control, so you take their eye off of where they're going, so that you can just get almost let their bodies catch up with their brains sometimes. Sometimes you feel that their brains are running so fast that their bodies can't keep up, and you just have to, without getting into a battle with them, try and get them back. Nicola's having a real job there. She's doing a good job. She's keeping her hands low, staying at the back of the saddle there, so that she keeps her weight behind the horse's centre of balance to try and rock the horse back onto the
wants
hops.
to get on with the job. She doesn't see why she should be restrained. She's got to hit the rising ground now. That might slow her a little more.
Yeah, 2 more to start behind.
Well, we're back with B'Elanna. It's
It's
interesting hearing that, because they did pick up 20 penalties at Burnham Market, but what I'm seeing here on the stats and on the recent form is that even their very highest rated runs, so that time they won Buckle 4.8 time penalties, they were in the top 5 at Blenheim last year, but they picked up 5.6 time penalties. They were second at Blair in the CIC 3, or at Barbary in the CIC 3-star, but they picked up time penalties. They're even their top-rated results. B'Elanna finds it very difficult to get inside the time, and I think that's probably because you're seeing that
because she's
setup.
fighting, and you have to spend so much time setting up, and then when you do get your galloping stretches, you can only let them go so much because you've got to get them back again at the end of them. Yeah.
Down into the air ambulance ice pond.
Well, Nicola Wilson B'Elanna at the ice pond, well into the latter half of her round, and the mare has always been feisty. She's a Buccolo winner, so very experienced at this level, but she's really responding to Nicola kicking on away at
I
that.
thought she settled actually better to that combination, because you run slightly downhill to that water, and when Nicola sat back, the mare responded much quicker, so hopefully that will help her time-wise.
Well, she can be 5 seconds inside the time, over the time, sorry, to knock that man off the podium, because Thomas Carlyle is sitting pretty on the #1 spot. He's got his French flag at the ready, because French dominated here 12 months ago. Will they dominate again? Let's go to Alice.
Thomas, that was class.
Yeah, no, he was unbelievable. I set out not thinking, dead thinking to make the time, but he just felt so fresh up the hills. I wanted to give him a breather coming down them, and he just took the bridle. So, all right, mate, let's carry on. And 5th minute marker, I was still on target, so I was like, well, we can do it now. So And he listened to me so well at the last complex. I was 6 strides on the inside and 7. It was easy.
Really, really smooth. A very different expression on your face to the one we saw at the end of the show jumping.
Yeah, it was a bit of a twit, wasn't I?
No, I did not say that. I did not say that. But your horse is class, and at the end of the day, you're on the podium now. Do you think you can stick there?
Hopefully, yeah. I think so. If I could keep this hot, that'd be good. I like this seat.
You like this seat. You're going to be holding on to it. Hold on to that French flag. Listen, great result. Well done.
Thank you, Alice.
Well, Tom Carlyle, Upsilon, I have to say, they would be a lot of very popular winners, but none more so than that guy. And you put him up as a winner. He kind of had a bit of a blip in the show jumping, feeling a bit more confident now.
Well, be very careful now, Nicole, because you know who's sitting in between us. The actual, we need something to go wrong for Quick Look if that was to happen. Quick Look, Gemma, is still to come, and we'll get on to them. But let's stay with Tom for a moment. Upsilon. Let's look at some of these stats again. They finished first or second, Nicole, in 8 of their 11 internationals. This is a 9-year-old stallion, by the way, if people are interested in that. And I think people are interested in that from what I'm hearing.
He's the future Chile Morning of the sport,
I
isn't
think
he?
he could be. I think he could be.
Very much so.
It's an early call on this. We have to remember that. You know, he's still only 9. And when you're talking about someone like Chile Morning, he's gone all the way and won. You know, probably the biggest 4-star in the sport, and so much success. Upsilon is on a different part of his journey, but right now he's showing us the kind of performance in each phase that can get us excited. Yes, he had a blip in the show jumping today, but that's very much an anomaly. That can happen to any horse.
I'm not pointing the blame. I promise I'm not. But Tom said in an interview with Alice that the horse is a very good show jumper and he will only have a problem if Tom gets it wrong.
Oh.
And so, to be fair, he wasn't entirely sure of the stride and the horse said no. So
I
that's
didn't
okay. We
actually
can
see
blame
it,
Tom.
but I saw Tom afterwards, and he was very acceptant of responsibility. So you know, I think that as riders, you have to realise when you've made a bad decision and hold your hands up and, you know, accept the fact that those have consequences. But you can see from the form before, and I mean, even when it doesn't get it quite right, he's still going to be well in amongst it. So it's not too bad when you're making a mistake and still bang in there, looking like you're going to be highly placed.
Well, he's waiting nervously down at the podium, but Alice was with all of the action.
Yeah, I'm in the press zone here, and the whole load of the riders have come up here to watch this big screen and get a feel for this competition, which is really hotting up. Isa just knocked off the podium.
Yeah, but I'm absolutely delighted with my horse. All I could do is he's done a much improved test and is improving all the time, and to finish on a dressage score around Chatsworth, you can't but be delighted with that.
Absolutely, and you produced a great test, and we expected you to deliver as you did. Victoria Panner's on as well. Victoria, woo, you were cool.
Cool, I think my horse was cool. My steering wasn't great today, but if I can vaguely point in the right direction, she'll try and sort it out. No, she did jump amazingly.
You two girls, we were hoping to have 2 girls and 2 greys. You nearly got there. You were nibbling at the podium.
There are a lot of greys around now. I think everyone's trying to copy me in pennies.
Listen, you were good. Emily King, it didn't quite go for you. An annoying 20.
Yeah, I was really pleased with him. He was fantastic round the whole course, and I was determined to get the 3 strides going in the water, and I think I was so pleased that I made it, and I trust him. He's never run out in his life, and I think I didn't ride quite as committed as I should, and he was a bit looking at the crowds and didn't really even sort of run out, just a bit glanced off it, and then came again and was really good. So, really pleased with him.
It's a tough track.
Yeah, and this is his first one, first 3-star this tough for him. He's 9 this year and it hasn't done so much, and he did all the forward strides on everywhere else. The open ditch to the corners was really good. So, really pleased. He should have a big future.
Certainly should. There's no doubt about that. We've had a word with the girls. There's a nice gang of boys here. Carlos Parro with Marcio. Carlos, give us a summary of your round.
He was really good. I was really happy with him. He's had a year off, so his first 3 stars since coming back. And I felt that I didn't want to really push him to go flat outside the time, but let him run quite nicely, so he was good. He'll be ready.
You looked after him, but it was super smooth.
Yeah, he's a good jumper and makes it a lot easier for me when you can be smooth and know that they're going to get over it.
Seriously nice to have him back in action, I should imagine.
Yeah, he's going to Wiesbaden for the next one, hopefully, and then probably be a bit quicker there.
Great, so we're going to see you mastering it up. And Marcio, really interesting to see that Southern Hemisphere form. Your horse has been an absolute megastar, won everything in the Southern Hemisphere. People were doubting whether that would match up here, but he looked world class today.
Thank you very much. I like Coronel a lot. He's a homebred, thoroughbred, and I ride him since he had 3 years old. For me, it's very special to have him at this level here.
And it must have been a big decision to fly him from Brazil up to here because, once you're taking on the likes of Samart Todd and Oliver Townend and the competition really hots up, but he's matching up.
Yeah, it's a big decision, but I try that to follow them.
Well, you're certainly putting it up to them. Sam, not such a good day for you today. The show jumping phase proved tricky.
Yeah, I didn't ride my best round of show jumps in the world, and he's only a young horse, and he was a little bit taken back by all the atmosphere, so I've decided not to run him here in the cross country, and we'll save him for another.
Regroup, save him for another day. Sam, good to have you involved. And Oliver, your fans were here. They were waiting. Our 2016 champion. Talk us through your round.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big step up for him today, and I was in a position that I had to go quick as possible, and he was a little bit off and decided not to jump the brush, but up until that point he was very smooth, and there's only one way to get mileage, isn't there? That's by keeping turning up with these horses, so I'm sure he'll have his day.
You love a tough track. You were talking about Badminton being tough, and that's what you'd expect. What was your take on Ian Stark's course here?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I mean, if you went to just jump round slowly, I think it'd be quite a nice track in terms of you could pop round, and there isn't too much that is too tricky for this level, but then you add the terrain, and then you add the Event Rider Masters money, and then you add speed, and it's all those accumulation of things that when you're trying to go fast, that's when it becomes a little rougher.
Well, listen, you're always a star. Great to have you involved. And I don't know if you can see, but they are literally 10 thick around this podium here. Give everybody give them a wave. It's a great atmosphere down here. 10 thick, watching you, Nicole. And the podium guys waiting with interest. They're clinging onto those chairs. It's going to be hard to get them off.
Well, they definitely are holding on to those chairs. And Tom Carlyle, I think somebody might need a crowbar to move him. And Upsilon, but Andrew Nicholson on there as well. One lady who is looking to move them, Matt, you know very well. Gemma comes as last to go with Quick Look. She is our leader after the show jumping.
Yeah, I mean, she'll be hugely competitive. I mean, she was, I can't tell you how cross she was that things just slipped away from her last year, and Ollie managed to pip her, and, and in the end, she ended up quite a long way down because things didn't go to plan in those last couple of runs in this competition, and she'll be looking to remedy that this year, I can assure you.
Because it's not just the leg, it's the series. And she said she's going for them all.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's got a good team of horses, and she'll be trying hard to feature in as many of these competitions as possible. Quick Look's a really good mare, so I'm very confident that they'll put in a good round today. She's a hugely confident rider, and is full of confidence in badminton as well. We spoke about that earlier, and that comes forward, and your horses, as soon as you're full of confidence, your horses become full of confidence. They accept that from you, and normally try that little bit harder. So I'm looking forward to it.
I must admit, I've sat next to you in a commentary box before when you've watched Gemma go round, and it was quite a hair-raising experience. So this could be interesting, because I think you jumped every fence for her.
Yeah, I'm just testing the suspension on this chair, making sure we don't go through the floor or anything. But I think we should be all right. I should be able to just about contain myself, I think, with any luck.
Do you want me to tell you about who's going to come up before we see Gemma?
Yes, please.
Yeah. We've got Bettina. Mm-hmm. So Bettina's going to be... It's going to be right beside her, in terms, they'll probably be on course at the same time. Bettina went out in Blair. We talked about this at the top of the show, Nicole, when she was in this same position. But we do have time penalties on that Designer 10 record. It's all coming up. Stay tuned. This is about to get very, very exciting, Nicole.
Well, he is practically vibrating with excitement, but let's take a look at the leaderboard as things stand at the moment, because Tom Carlyle and Upsilon. France won here 12 months ago. It was Astier Nicolas, Piaf de Bonneville who won, but French dominated the podium. They took 4 of the top 5 places. 42.2 is Thomas's score. And actually 12 months ago, Gemma Tattersall was the best of the Brits in 4th, knocked off the podium by the French. So she'll be looking to revenge that as she comes forward a little later on. But great results for Swallow Springs, Andrew Nicholson, and a huge mention to Elizabeth Power and Solar Dune, because they were 30th after dressage. They have climbed and climbed and climbed up that leaderboard, and the time here at Chatsworth, notoriously difficult. We have just 4 combinations that have made it since back in the last 10 years, I think it is, since 2010, certainly. Astier Nicolas, Chris Burton, and here today, Upsilon, Thomas Carlyle, and Elizabeth Power, Solar Dune. But Solar Dune, some 21 seconds inside the time, and that is massive. Great to see the 2 Brazilians in the top 10 as well. Vittoria Panizon and Burra Penes for Italy, also featuring, and Yoshiaki Iowa for Japan. It is an international top 10 as things stand at the moment, and it is not over yet. We still have the final combinations to come. That is the thing with reverse order show jumping and cross country. It really is excitement until the final moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Picking up Nicola now. She's coming up to the combination at the top of the hill, and that's a super ride through there. Be interesting to see how this bit of a break has affected this horse, because I think that she got a bit keen, and hopefully that will just help her settle in her brain and give Nicola a really good ride home.
It can sometimes help some horses, can't it? We saw with Ros Canters and Shearer.
Yeah, we saw it with Ros.
I just said a good blow for Nicola's horse, and then just to have a bit of a chill will probably help her come home. Looking at Bettina now. Oh, she was a long way off the table at 3, and that is a huge fence at 3. And you have a bit of rolling ground through a hollow going up to it, and you don't really appreciate how big it is until you're taken off.
It's the St James's Places table at the 3rd, and it really is huge, as you say.
Yeah, massive, yeah.
Well, this is the first real question, and we've seen 1 or 2 have a few problems here. So Bettina Hoy will watch her through there. Very confidently.
Yeah, another one to have a little slip, but the horse never batted off, came off the line. It was really, really confident.
Nicole, can you line up some time information for me? What has Bettina got in hand?
Well,
and Nicola.
We'll get a
And
time
Nicola.
for Nicola first, because Nicola can be 5 seconds over the time and go ahead of Thomas Carlyle. I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to say that while she's gone fast, she's had to have too much time setting up for the fences, and she's going to struggle to make that optimum.
I think she's been quick on the way home, right?
I don't think
there we go, we've got a time on it.
I don't think you're being particularly bold, by the way.
No.
We're seeing there on the clock over 30 seconds over the time.
Yeah,
so
the mare's still very keen coming to the last.
Yeah.
Well, Bettina Hoy, designer 10, out on course. Bettina, 6 seconds in hand over Thomas Carlyle and Upsilon.
That gets interesting. 6 seconds in hand. They're going to need to be up there with some of the fastest rounds. They did have a very, very fast round at Badminton at 4-star level back in 2015. 1.6 time penalties that day, 1.2 time penalties in 2014 at Le Moulin. But this is the kind of level that we're talking about, up there with their very best 4-star results in terms of the time, if they're going to have any chance today.
I was a little bit sticky through that water there, Derwin. I would suggest if the rest of the round continues in that way, then the time's going to be very, very difficult. She was much more confident there. She's giving the horse a nice pat down the neck there, you saw, as she left that table, so she appreciated the better jump. And looking at her there, I would have said that she's not necessarily really pressing as hard as she could do through that section of the course.
Well, the interesting thing about this, Matt, as you know, is that if you're not up on your time as you come to that last part of the course, you don't have another opportunity to make up the time. The last part of the course, there's lots of twists, lots of turns, lots of questions. You've got to... Nicole, what?
I was just going to say it's nearly time. Circling down at the start. Yeah, Matt, we're here for you.
We see Gem there. She looks very calm down at the start. She'll be calmer than the supporters watching, I'm sure. She's someone that does actually suffer a little bit from nerves, but when she's on the horse, she tends to just drop into the zone and puts that to the back of her mind, so I'm sure that won't be affecting her now.
So Bettina Hoy and Designer 10. They're looking a little sticky, I have to say. This horse really experienced at this level, but isn't giving Bettina an easy round, and she, I think, will be down on the clock here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's difficult when they've ran keen the last time and you haven't had the the run that you wanted. You perhaps try new breaks and new bits, and we'll see. But I would say that she's just looking to try and find a system with the horse that works.
The leader is away. The leader is away. Listen to this. Oh wow, 8.5 she has in hand over Thomas. Now yes, we could see a change in that based on what Designer 10 does, but what I'm seeing at the moment, I'm not expecting Designer 10 to be close enough to them. Gemma's away, 8.5 in hand. What was her time last year, Nicole? 8.4 time she carried last year. She doesn't need to be inside the time. Quick Look, the 5th, not a horse that goes inside the time at 3 or 4 star level, but she doesn't need to be inside the time today. She needs to be fast. She has those seconds in hand.
Well, Bettina Hoy is about 17 seconds down on the clock, we think, heading away from the Land Rover Stag's Head. So that will put her out of podium contention. Gemma, though, does have the luxury after that excellent dressage score of having 14 seconds in hand of Bettina. That can, of course, change. We'll wait for Bettina to get home before we can finalise exactly how much time in hand that Gemma will have.
Bettina's also looked much more confident through those corners on the way home. I think she's just gaining confidence as she goes round now. Yeah, much better through there as well. So I just think she'll be pleased with the way that this horse has gone towards the end of the course.
Second is 12, and third is 8.
I think going back to the time situation, I think the ground is riding better this year. We had that little bit of rain last year, and the horses are really comfortable to gallop on it. And I think that we all know that makes a huge difference. And we had quite a lot of rain last night, and I think that that's made the ground a little easier for the horses to gallop on.
Well, this is perhaps going to be a little closer than we think, because Bettina can be 6 seconds over the time, and she's actually made up a bit of time.
Yeah.
She's got 20 seconds to get home. It's going to be a bit touch and go. Derm, you're not looking overly convinced. She's risking a line to that second corner.
She's going for it, Nicole, but the time is running out. Back with Quick Look.
Gemma Tattersall at the water. Queen Mary's Bower goes on the 4 strides.
Yeah. Super through that. Yeah, really good.
Well, Bettina Hoy clears the last.
She's not that far over.
She finishes on a score of 41.
Yeah.
So she is going to challenge for the lead. I think that could knock Thomas Carlyle and Upsilon, and that is confirmed. Bettina Hoy, Designer 10. We are going to have our first female winner of the Event Rider Masters.
Well done, Nicole. That's brilliant. Bettina Hoy versus Gemma. Designer 10 versus Quick Look, the 5th.
Yeah, I mean, Bettina's round, it was interesting watching, because early on the horse looked a little bit sticky. Towards the end, got much more confidence, and that's where, like you said, hugely experienced, and that's where that comes into play.
Well, this is important to note as well. Boulan and Nicola Wilson, time confirmed for them, 2.4 time. Nicola goes 3rd. She's going to knock Andrew Nicholson off the podium. He's not going to be happy about that.
He won't like that. And Nicola's going to, I hope she doesn't get too comfortable, because I think she's going to have to get squeezed off again very soon when Bettina gets off.
Well, Gemma has 17 seconds in hand.
Yeah, she's pretty accurate with the time normally as well, and I'm sure she'll have a rough idea of where she is and what she's got in hand, and won't take any unnecessary risks.
She won't be taking unnecessary risks. She was in with us area, Matt, and she talked us through it. I said to her, you're going for that record finishing score, and she smiled. She said, we're going for the win. We've been talking about it all weekend, being that first female rider to potentially win an ERM leg. But Gemma doesn't feel that pressure. She said she'll go for it. She'll go with how Quick Look feels. She knows she doesn't have to be under the time. She knows she has some time in hand.
There's always another run in mind as well with these horses. It's very important that you come away from the competition feeling that you can go to the next competition and be just as competitive.
So Gemma Tattersall, Quick Look, the 5th. Our leaders from the show jumping. They were in the 2nd place after dressage. I've never seen Derm get so excited about waiting for collectives to come in, I have to say. And we're just going to take a time check here. She looks to be a couple of seconds down. Only 3 or 4, though. Whoa. And so she can afford 17.
she was quick through there. I think she knows that she's just a little bit slower than she wanted to be, because she was very, very quick through that combination. The horse took a little bit of control going to the double of brushes, but stayed really true to the line.
I have to say, Matt, I'm impressed with how calm you are.
Well,
he's shaking under the table. Like
yeah, I was going to say, perhaps it's Derm that's feeling the vibrations. Oh, she had a slip there. Oh, no, she's fine. She's all right. She had a little slip in between. I got a little bit nervous there for a second.
A quick reminder of the talent that we're seeing. The record finishing score at this venue, 44.9. It went all the way back. Andrew Nicholson, Viscount George in 2013. In this ERM class today, we've already seen Andrew Nicholson, again that man, Swallow Springs this time, just a 9-year-old, 44.6. Nicola Wilson, 42.3. Tom Carlyle, 42.2. Bettina Hoy, second on the podium at the moment, 40.6. But we have one person still sub 40. She's on track at the moment. You're looking at her now, Gemma Tattersall, bidding to become the first female rider of the Event Rider Masters Series.
Okay, so how many seconds has she got in hand? I'm starting to get a little twitchy now.
17 seconds in hand.
Okay,
she's down on the clock,
yeah,
but she's comfortable, she's okay.
Just needs to make sure this combination, the mare can get quite strong sometimes.
She needs to get through here, then kick towards home. Just brush through that with the flag.
Yeah, she did.
She's okay.
So we have 30 seconds.
Gemma is scrubbing towards home. She has 27 seconds from there to get home. She's got 17 seconds in hand, remember. The clock is green. It's about to go red. She is over the time. You can see the penalty score creeping up. We are going to have our first female winner. And it is going to be
Gemma.
10 seconds.
Gemma Tattersall, quick look the fifth. They take the first Event Rider Masters leg of the 2017 season. 37.7. What a round. What a lady. What a horse.
Yeah, really, really pleased for her. And she never looked to be hassling. She gave her a squeeze to the last, but the rest of the way around, she really... little selfie going on now. Really wasn't hassling at any stage, and I thought that looked a super round all the way. So see that smile.
Well, Gemma Tattersall, her mum in hot pursuit coming through the finish, and that is a huge team. She gave her mum a huge shout out for the ERM Super Groom prize a little bit earlier on. Use the hashtag ERM Super Groom. Make sure you get in touch, because you can vote for the person that you think is deserving of that prize. But Gemma Tattersall, she has gone round with a really good clear round across the country, and I have to say, let's just take a second, because she was under an immense amount of pressure. Yes, she had time in hand, but she was last out to go, Matt, and she just dealt with it beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely. She does deal with pressure really well, and I think that going back to the smile, look at the smile on the horse's face as well. That's always lovely to see at the end of a cross-country round. You know, ears pricked. This is a horse that absorbs atmosphere, and she'll think all those people are there for her. Going back to dealing with the pressure, Jem would have had a fair idea that she didn't need to take any risks, as Derm said earlier, and she had a little bit of time in hand. So it was a super round.
Well, they don't need to be inside the time, and that's a key. That's a key part of this triathlon that we go back to each time. They delivered such a brilliant test yesterday in the afternoon that it just bought them that little bit of extra time to be able to play to her strengths. So her strengths are in those early phases. Now look, her cross country is absolutely a strength as well. You don't be able to do that. You're not able to see around like that unless it is a strength. But they didn't have to make the time, and that was key for them today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we saw the mare walking around afterwards, ears pricked, very, very happy, and that's great to see.
So Gemma Tattersall, she's taken the win, and that is confirmed. 37.7, four-time faults across the country, but she becomes the first female winner of the Event Rider Masters. Alice has been down at the podium, soaking up all the atmosphere. It's been great to see all of the riders turning out in full force to support them. So we'll go down and join Alice.
Well, the ripple of applause is starting to find, because the winner is on her way. Let's get a quick reaction from Thomas for finishing third.
Well, that was some sport, wasn't it? As it always is in this series, and I'm very pleased with my horse, and congratulations to Gemma. She really rode that very well, and she deserves the win.
Well, listen, you certainly put the pressure on her. In second place, Bettina Hoy. Bettina, what a fantastic comeback from a disappointing badminton.
Yeah, very much so. I'm so excited to compete here and be part of the ERM Classics Event Rider Masters. So really, really good. Very pleased with Designer. He was still a bit strong cross-country, but I'm very proud of my horse. And big congratulations to Thomas. He was inside the time. Speedy pens. And obviously Gemma, fantastic.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please will you welcome onto the top spot here, the winner of leg one of the 2017 Event Rider Master Series, Gemma Tattersall's Quick Look, Great Britain.
Well, brilliant to see Alice down there at the podium. Gemma grinning from ear to ear. We really do love a Tattersall cheesy grin. And we'll be catching up with her a little bit later on. But let's take a look at the leaderboard. This is how it has finished at leg one of the Event Rider Masters, hosted here at the Dodson and Horrell Chatsworth International Horse Trials. The top 10, they are topped by that lady on your screens at Gemma Tattersall. Quick look, the fifth, 36.9. That is a revised score. That's even better than we thought it was.
Nicole, stay on that for a moment. 36.9. That's an absolutely huge result. That'll be one that will be talked about all across this series. She set the stall out early. That's the first sub-40 finishing score in Chatsworth history.
Look at that leaderboard. There's quite a lot of ladies in that leaderboard, Derm. I think that you might get another podium topped by the
there's a lot of greys. A lot of greys, man.
Yeah.
Well, we see just outside the top 10, Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo. Great result from the Brazilians, 2 in the top 12. And Australia, Shane Rose, they feature as well. Camilla Kruger received that wild card for Zimbabwe. But it certainly has been an exciting Event Rider Masters. It has been leg one here at Chatsworth, and it is Gemma Tattersall who has taken the title. Quick look, the fifth. She's redeemed 12 months ago. She was kept off the podium by the French. They were first 3 spots on the podium. Gemma finished 4th. The French took 5th as well. They went on for that incredible run of form last summer, going on to win the team gold in Rio. Is this the scene set for Gemma in 2017?
I certainly hope so. It makes my life easier if it goes this way anyway. But yeah, no, I certainly hope so. I think that there's a new system in place with our guys these days, and they seem to be brimming with confidence. Ros Cantor and Gemma both did an amazing job, at badminton, and it's great to see some young riders coming through. And I think Gemma's definitely got a good team of horses to go and have plenty of wins this year. Yeah.
Across all the phases as well. You're talking about Ros and Gemma in the performances that we saw from Team GB riders this weekend. Like we saw huge PPs in the dressage. We saw very competent cross-country rounds where the time didn't really run away with either of them. I expected it to be further off. I expected Ros to be a lot further off it, and then show jump in. Both of them delivered. So it's an exciting time, not just for Gemma, but for Team GB.
I think this competition really helps people raise their games as well. Everyone really tries hard to. There's a little bit more at stake, and I think that you can see from your statistics that this competition is raising the bar.
Yeah. He does love his statistics.
Yeah. Hey, well, it's great. How else would you know the absolute magnitude of what Gemma's just done? Andrew Nicholson, it goes to 2013, Viscount George. 44 was what people weren't able to catch here at Chatsworth. When you see what Event Rider Masters is doing for the sport, look how many have gone underneath it. Look how many have gone. We had Swallow Springs beating his own record, but on just
absolutely.
a 9-year-old. Nicola Wilson on Bolana. Tom Carlile on that 9-year-old Upsilon. How exciting is that? Mr. Bass, Upsilon, Swallow Springs, Santiago Bay.
The future is very, very bright, and we cannot wait to keep up to date with it all. And I have to say, Derm, just a shout out, you said we would have a podium full of greys. Bettina Hoy spoilt the party, but 2 out of 3 isn't bad.
Because 2 out of 3.
Yeah, maybe not.
Okay,
but Bettina Hoy, I know that Alice spoke to her and she was delighted. She must have been really disappointed after badminton because Designer 10 did a super test. didn't listen to her at all across the country and was green in places out there today. She had to work hard.
Yeah, and they touched on it at Badminton about, pulling up early when you've had a problem early and going out and having another day. And here was that another day. And that's, you make that sensible decision earlier. It's difficult to do, when you're at such a big occasion like Badminton. But Bettina made that decision. She's come here and she's had a fantastic result. And that, really paid off for her. And it's something that, to bear in mind, I think.
And we waited all of last season to have the first female winner of an Event Rider Masters leg. The best placing was a third place. Janelle Price had a podium finish. Gemma had 2 podium finishes. But we have a first and a second here at leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. And we cannot wait to see the presentation and that champagne shower.
Well, what a leg, what a competition, and it all ran until that last horse crossed the line. We didn't know the result. We thought we might have done. We hoped for it, and we got the result we wanted. A win for Great Britain and a win for the girls, the first time here in the Event Rider Masters Series. What a weekend, and a huge thank you to Chatsworth and our host, the Duke and Duchess of Devonshire, for this extraordinary venue to host this, our first leg of 7 in the 2017 Event Rider Masters Series. We head next to Germany, to Wiesbaden, and then on to Jardy. We're then in Barbary, and we carry on through to Gatcombe, to Blair, and to Blenheim. The series will roll on, but let's focus on today, because what an absolutely top-class competition we've had. And please, will you say a very warm welcome and a huge congratulations to our third-placed rider. Presenting the prize to our third-placed rider, will you give a warm welcome for France, Thomas Upsilon, with his owners, Gerard Brescon, and his parents, Douglas and Tanya Carlisle. Congratulations, and what a wonderful horse Upsilon is, and what an exciting prospect for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, for France, Thomas Upsilon. In second place, for Germany, Bettina Hoy, designer. Bettina owns and rides this horse, so on her own here on the podium. Congratulations for Germany, Bettina Hoy. And ladies and gentlemen, your winner for Great Britain, Gemma Tattersall and Quick Look. Will you welcome onto the podium her owner, Lisa Stone, Charlotte and Martin Bell, and Sue and Tony Johnston. Gemma Tattersall, Great Britain. And so to present our prizes, in third place, we say a very big thank you to Henrique Piatz. He's the head of equestrian sponsorship for the technology partner to the Event Rider Masters 2017, SAP. And we say a very big thank you to SAP for all the fantastic work they've done in enhancing the coverage here. And that is a partnership that's going to grow and grow. There's no doubt about it. In second place, and a big thank you to Dodson and Horrell, the supporters of the Chatsworth International Horse Trials. And we welcome Sam Horrell, CEO of Dodson and Horrell. And as we said, a huge thank you to the Duke and Duchess of Devonshire for allowing us here at Chatsworth. And will you give a very warm welcome to the Duchess of Devonshire to present our winner's cheque, champagne supported by Paul Roger, to Gemma Tattersall, Great Britain. And also a big thank you to the Vent Horse Owners Association. Our chairman, Kathy Butler, and Jenny Levitt, representing the Event Horse Owners Association, present a beautiful bowl to the winning owners of Quick Look. And none other than Lisa Stone, the CEO of the Event Rider Masters. It's not a fix, I promise. Charlotte and Martin Bell, and Sue and Tony Johnston. And also, they win a 2-night stay at the Monnet Spa. Not quite sure how they're going to split that one up, but a really nice prize that Jenny Levitt is presenting to them from the Event Horse Owners Association. And to all our owners, we say a massive thank you. This sport couldn't happen without the owners, and a huge, huge thank you for your support, not only of this series, but of eventing in general. A very big thank you to the Event Horse Owners Association. So, ladies and gentlemen, our winner, Gemma Tattersall. Gemma, can we bring you forward? While everybody's... Let's wrestle the cheque off her. Yeah, let's get you down here, Gem. I'm not that tall. Gemma, massive congratulations.
Wasn't she clever? She tried her little heart out all the way to the end. And, you know, she's not a naturally fast galloper, but today she just kept going, kept galloping. And I told her after the corner, right, girl, come on, gallop. And she did.
You looked so relaxed the whole way. We were watching going, nah, not quick enough. Nah, she's taking it easy.
I tried to be really relaxed. I tried to just ride her in a relaxed, soft way. But we were super quick to and from every single fence, and every jump came up in a really good stride. So we didn't waste any time anywhere.
Gem, this means a huge amount. The Masters, the first female winner of a Masters leg. I know it's something that you've been targeting. This is a mare that had a tough time in Rio. What does this win? Where does it feature?
Oh, right up there for sure. Yes, we had a tough time in Rio, but she's come back better than ever. Personal best in the dressage, super clear show jumping, and an awesome round cross country. I am chuffed to bits with her.
Well, listen, the crowd have loved it. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Gemma Tattersall. Well, that's it for the Event Rider Masters first leg. It's been an extraordinary competition. It went to the wire. Our winner was Gemma Tattersall, Great Britain. Our first female winner. The bandwagon rolls on. Those all-important points have been bagged. But what a competition we've had. That's it from us here from Chatsworth. We've loved having your company. We've loved the competition. This is the Event Rider Masters, and it's a goodbye from us. And we'll see you at the next leg.
Well, brilliant to see that presentation. Everybody loves a good champagne shower. Well, just a very quick final thought here. We've closed off at the podium. We're going to take a final look at the top 10 on the leaderboard because it is, I think, Derm, a record for the Event Rider Masters.
It's a record finishing score for the Event Rider Masters, and to come in the first leg of 2017 sets the tone. It's a record finishing score for Chatsworth. It's a record that we have a female rider, a female winner at last. But look what's sitting in second. Bettina Hoy, Designer 10, and we are going to Germany next. Series points are already going to get important. We'll come back to that. Do you want to take us through the next?
Well, Thomas Carlyle, Upsilon, inside the time, this stallion, he will be ruining that show jumping round, an expensive show jumping round, finishes on 42.2, and he would have fancied his chances to take the leg one title. Soladoon, Elizabeth Power for Ireland, they finish in 7th, a massive 23 places they climbed. They were 30th after the first phase, but that just shows how influential the jumping can be. We've got Great Britain, Germany, France, New Zealand, Ireland, Brazil and Italy all in the top 10. It is certainly an international leg one of the Event Rider Masters, and we cannot wait to go into Europe for the very first time this year as well. Leg 2 is in Wiesbaden, the 2nd and 3rd of June. We really hope you can join us. It has been a fantastic couple of days here at the Dodson and Horrell Chatsworth International Horse Trials. All of the action, the thrills, the spills, well, we are going to show you some of our favourite moments as we sign off and say goodbye. Thank you for joining us.